insurance agent Deborah Kreider is suing her former neighbor, telephone operator Gordon Barnes, for damages due to an assault. Gordon claims Deborah is a racist who tried to run over his wife.
All rise.
This is case number 292 on the calendar in the matter of Kreider versus Barnes. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Ms. Kreider, you and the defendant used to be neighbors.
Yes.
You moved.
Yes.
According to what I read, on the day of your move, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you. You were suing him for that assault. Mr. Barnes says that he did not, in fact, assault you, and that you hit his wife with your car that day. So, how long were you neighbors before you moved?
Approximately 2.5 months.
But you had lived there for 3 years, and Mr. Barnes and his family moved into the complex where you lived?
Yes.
Okay. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Good. On what date did you move?
We started the move on the 2nd of March, and the 4th was when we were going to get the remaining things out, so...
Is that when this incident occurred, on March 4th?
I was taking boxes to my son.
So why don't you tell me what happened?
My son called to let me know that he was finished with the boxes he had, that he needed more boxes, so bring them up to the apartment. And I went up there, went inside, and I went into the kitchen to...
Of your apartment?
Of your
old apartment. Now, what floor did you live on?
It was a twin, side by side.
And the Barnes family lived in the other apartment?
Yes, on the other side.
I understand. So it's really...
Like a house,
like
only
a house.
Split in half.
My brother had his friends over there, and they had walked out into the kitchen and said, "Miss Kreider, somebody's here at the door for you." So I had walked out with my mother because I had realized that it was him.
You had had difficulty with Mr. Barnes before?
Yes, many times.
So Mr. Barnes came to the door, and you went out with your mother?
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell me what happened.
Okay. So I had went out there, and then my mom had followed me, and he said, "This isn't over, B." He says, "I know where you live. Your house is green with white shutters." And my mom went outside, and then he punched her in the face, and he was standing out on the front lawn screaming. And then I had went over and grabbed the mailbox. We had a post, so I had taken the mailbox.
It's funny
post.
to him. See how he laughs about it?
Yeah, I would. And
that wouldn't be funny.
And no, well, you hit my man in at the door, and she's like, she hit me with a car, and she started going hysterical, and I'm just like, ridiculous.
No, this is a supporting deposition.
That's what the police wrote up. He asked me and my wife to come to the precinct.
When did you go to the precinct? The next day?
The next day after my wife was taken to the hospital. And
I'd like to see the hospital report on your wife.
And believe me, that was the happiest day of our life when she moved. So we wouldn't have been angry at all. We was finally getting rid of this horrible lady and her family. And we filed order of protections. They never filed an order of protection. We was threatened. We have order of protection against her. Her son shot up my house twice, not once, twice.
You have a copy of that order of protection?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
The whole town knows her. That's why they issued it.
Shh. Listen to me, Mr. Barnes.
Right, it's funny again.
Mr. Barnes.
No, it's your story is funny.
She said the only black people she like is dead black.
Mr. Barnes, you don't want to lose by default here.
I'm very sorry.
This is very interesting, Ms. Kreider. The court in Broome County issued a final order of protection against you, and the final order of protection against you said that you were to stay away from Mr. Barnes and his entire family. Now, this was either after a trial or with your consent.
It's because of my son.
I'm not interested in because of your son. Yeah. It's a final order of protection that was issued by a court for a period of 2 years on February 21st. Explain it.
On December 22nd, my children and I went to go get our Christmas tree. Now, at that point in time, my 20-year-old, that is the reason why the restraining order is in effect, was still living with us.
Oh, no. Listen to me. This restraining order is not against you. The court made a mistake.
Can I say something?
No. Sit down.
Basically, what had happened was it was one judge that said that unless he does something again.
Do you have a restraining order against Mr. Barnes?
No.
So the only restraining order that exists, which is a final one, not a temporary one, after a finding of guilt, is an order against you in favor of the Barneses. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your case is dismissed, Ms. Kreider. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 331 on the calendar in the matter of Richardson versus McManus. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
All right, we're going to cut to the chase here and in a very brief period of time lay out this story, this sad tale as I understand it. Miss Richardson, this used to be your boyfriend. You had an intimate relationship with him for a while. That relationship, according to both of you, terminated. You were involved with somebody else. You became pregnant and had a baby. Sometime after the child was born, Mr. McManus saw you, met you, whatever, and he looked at the baby, and the baby looked like he used to look when he was a baby. I don't know. And he got it in his head that he might be the father of this child. So far, is that pretty much right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Good. So he would come over and visit and want to bring presents for the baby and want to be involved with the baby, and in your mind, you knew that he was not the father. But he harassed you, according to you, and harassed you, and he said, I want you to take a blood test, I want to be sure. And according to you, he said, I'll pay for the test. So you took a paternity test, and you want him to pay for that test. That's what this is about. Mr. McManus says, you didn't take any test with me, and I never saw the results of a test that you did take. So I am assuming, Miss Richardson, that the blood test that you took was with the person who was the father of the child, correct? Not with Mr. McManus, because the only thing that test with Mr. McManus would have established could have been that he was excluded as a person who could be the father of this child.
Right.
Mr. McManus.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you promise to pay for a blood test that Miss Richardson would take, a paternity test, that she would take, not with you, but with some other man?
No, Your Honor.
Did you promise to pay for a blood test if she took it with you?
Yes, that is correct.
That's what I thought. So why, Miss Richardson, did you take a paternity test with somebody other than Mr. McManus?
I was trying to keep Travis McManus's name away from my child's name because I knew that he couldn't be, clinically it was impossible for him to be the father.
My question is,
oh, I'm sorry,
if
tell me again.
You're not paying attention.
Okay.
Either that or you're not hearing me.
This is too much. I went through too much with this guy. Go ahead. Why did I take a test? He harassed me for months. I didn't want his name on it when I could have the father, my family. I'll keep it together and not have someone who...
Are you on any prescription medication? Pay attention to my question.
Okay, ma'am.
He wanted to take a blood test with him.
Yes.
To determine whether he was the father of this child. And he said, if you take a paternity test, I'll pay for it. If I'm not the father, I'll still pay for it. If I'm the father, I want to know. I'm the father.
He didn't say it like that. He didn't differentiate at all. At all. He came into my home.
You mean you think that he was promising to pay you for a blood test that you took with another man?
No, he just said that he wanted to make an appointment and get it done. He said he didn't care how it was done or who did it, actually. And that's when I said, okay, well, I'll go and get his dad. I'll look hard for his dad. Plus, he'd already come into my house. And what he said in front of my child isn't something the father, even a potential father, would say in front of a baby. So I wanted him nowhere near us.
Get me, just a sec. Would you get me the results of the paternity test? I'm sure she has them somewhere in that.
I was scared to death, and so
paperwork.
was his dad, because he'd already been accosted by Travis McManus, like, before the baby, even.
How many children do you have, Miss Richardson?
I have a little boy.
This isn't the way test results come back to you when you take a DNA test.
Well, here's the rest of it.
Give me the whole thing.
Well, I mean, that's what I got. That was an email. That's all I got. And this, I just...
All right. Shh. Listen to me very carefully, Miss Richardson.
Okay. I'm just...
This is not going to tell Mr. McManus anything. This does not name the child. This does not name the father. It does not say who came to the report. It says nothing. Is there currently an order of filiation legally declaring somebody to be the father of this child in any court?
No.
Okay. There probably should be. Do you live with the father of this child?
No, I do not.
Does the father of this child pay child support?
No, he cannot.
Why not?
I can't tell you why.
Listen to me. Mr. McManus.
But I do know Mr.
Yes.
McManus, that was
Mr.
one of his
McManus,
things.
Yes,
I
Your
want
Honor.
you to listen to me very carefully, sir. I don't know whether you're the father of this child or not. I have no idea. I'm not going to get much from this side of the bench that I can
Oh my gosh.
make heads or tails of. There is probably, based upon this genetic testing, and I don't know what child was taken or what father was taken, I have no idea. But in all probability, if they did go for a blood test, if the blood test was taken and she paid for the blood test or this man paid for the blood test, this is an accurate report which indicates that there's a 99.99 probability that the two people who took this test are genetically related. Do you understand?
Thank you.
That would of necessity exclude you.
Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What he caused to the baby was just, it was wrong.
The baby will get over the trauma of him being told that he's
That's what
the
his
baby's
mom
father.
said. She'd get over it, that her kids are fine, but her kids aren't fine.
And later today,
When you got bailed out, where did you go?
We went to the park and she told me she'd marry me.
Before or after you beat her up?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ryan Richardson says ex-boyfriend Travis McManus owes for the cost of a paternity test.
Now, if, however, you are not satisfied with this test result, what you have to do is you have to go to the family court in the jurisdiction where you live, file a petition asking to legally be declared the father of this child.
Okay.
They will issue a summons. They will call her into court.
All right.
They will direct the taking of a blood test. You will have to pay for that blood test. If there is any question in your mind, I can't tell you what this says,
Okay.
because quite frankly, I don't know.
All right.
Your
Doesn't
Honor, he's
list
had
any
plenty of
peop-
time to do that. He just keeps threatening me with court, but he could do it.
Good, Mr. McManus, that is what you have to do. You can't
Okay.
threaten her. You can't go over there.
I have to
I don't
threaten her,
want you to
Your
go
Honor.
over there. I don't want you to try to see her. I don't want you to try to see the child. I don't want you to send her any presents. I don't want you to send her any money. Who is this person?
This is my mother.
Good. Your mother looks like a reasonable person. What you have to do is you have to take him by the hand. How old is he?
He's 27.
You take your 27-year-old baby by the hand, take him to a local family court, let him fill out a petition to be declared the father of this child. They will order the blood test. If he comes back not the father, he knows for sure that he is excluded as one of those people who could possibly be the father. Would that make you happy?
Yes, if I'm
Then-
excluded. Yes.
Then that's what you have to do. Do
Okay.
you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't go near her other than that.
Yes, Your
What?
So it's just about the paternity test, not the harassment? What he caused to the baby was just, it was wrong. It's wrong to come in and say, I'm your father, and confuse a baby like that. The baby lunged off the bed at him when he was coming at me. I mean,
The baby will get over the trauma of him being told that he's
that's
the
what his
baby's
mom
father.
said. She'd get over it that her kids are fine, but her kids aren't fine, obviously.
Goodbye. Now you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Goodbye and good luck, everybody.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
For years, he has come in and out of my life, come to my parents' house when I'm not there, just different things. And like my dad says, he's just trying to get back in.
I think it's the other way around, to tell you the truth. I want absolutely nothing to do with this woman.
He seemed really civil after the baby was born. He'd come over to visit a few times, and I even asked his mom to sell my dad's house. And then he just freaked out.
When I first saw the kid, my gut feeling was, yeah, he was my son. So that's why I wanted a DNA test, and I haven't seen one yet.
Everybody knows my son. Everybody knows that he's the happiest baby in the world, and that he couldn't possibly be this maniac.
25-year-old homemaker Deanna Horn Torres is suing dog trainer Brian Cunningham for injuring her dog Buster during a session. Brian says he did nothing out of the ordinary.
Miss Torres?
Yes.
And this is Buster.
Yes.
And Buster was behaving badly. How old is Buster?
He's 4 months.
Where did you get him?
We got him from a breeder.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a boxer.
Did the breeder tell you that boxers are hard to train?
No, she didn't.
Is he hard to train?
He's doing better, but he is a little difficult. Yes. Yes.
He doesn't look interested in what's going on here, I'll tell you that right now. Well, according to what your complaint states, because you were having some difficulty in training Buster on your own, you asked your vet for a recommendation.
Yes.
Had you used this vet before?
Yes.
You think that the vet that you used was a good one?
Yes.
And your vet recommended Mr. Cunningham.
Yes.
and said he was a good dog trainer.
Yes.
And you made an agreement with him. I think his whole fee was $525, and you paid him, and it is your claim that he hurt your dog during the training sessions, and you want a full refund.
Yes.
The $525 that you paid Mr. Cunningham was for how many sessions?
He didn't give me an amount. He said he would come to my house until I was completely satisfied. He didn't tell me how long it would take.
I offer everybody, it's a 6-week course or until the dog is completely trained.
What kind of trained? You mean potty trained, crate trained?
Housebreaking, chewing, digging, obedience is how we do it.
What if you get a really dumb dog?
There aren't really very many dumb dogs. It's just folks, you've got to follow up with the instruction I give you.
What about stubborn dogs?
Very stubborn sometimes. Buster's a stubborn dog, there's no doubt about it.
I have a very stubborn dog. But she has been very, very well trained.
That's good.
All right, Ms. Torres, tell me what happened.
He had came 3 times to my house. The first day, everything went fine. The second time he came, there was a pink mark around the dog's neck, and he told me it was because the dog was a white dog and it would go away. And it did. Within 2 hours, it was gone. And so the next time he came, the dog ran under the bed to hide. Well, whenever he came out...
That's all right. You can leave him alone. He's fine.
As soon as he put the collar around the dog's neck, the dog snapped at him. And so when he was being rough with him, we asked him, why are you being so rough? And he said that he had to do it to keep him from snapping at people. So we said, okay, well,
You mean the dog bit the inside of his mouth?
Yes. And so at that time, we ended the session. He took the collar off the dog, and the dog ran underneath the bed. And when I went to the dog, I had noticed the injuries that I do have pictures of. And my husband talked to Brian later on the phone and told Brian that we didn't want his services anymore. We couldn't have him abuse our dog.
Okay, so let me see the photographs that you took. Okay, Mr. Cunningham, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I've been training dogs for 17 years. I have 2 witnesses to tell you what kind of trainer I am.
Tell me your name.
Barbara Buquay.
Step up, please. Are you just a satisfied customer?
Oh, I'm absolutely satisfied.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Maltese, Sophie.
Little one?
She's very small, yes. She's about 5 pounds.
Does she bark?
Well, actually, she does not bark. No, not usually.
Good.
Yes, I know. I'm so happy with her, and I'm so happy with Brian.
Okay. You, sir?
My name is Victor McDougall, and Brian has trained 2 dogs for me. The first one was Tara, and she had a little problem with liking to chew on furniture and stuff. And, Brian helped me train her and get her out of that. And most people would tell me that, boy, I wish my kids listened as well as my dog. So, yeah, so that's always good to hear.
Okay. Have a seat. So this is my problem, Mr. Cunningham. I believe that you are a good dog trainer.
Thank you.
And I believe that because their vet, that they have tremendous confidence in, recommended you.
Yes.
And you bring 2 witnesses who I have no reason to doubt that say that you've been wonderful with their animals. This didn't work out. Whether you pulled a little too hard, whether the dog bruises easily, I don't know what happened. But these people did not cause this injury to the dog. I can understand they're being upset. Does it sound like you're losing yet, sir?
No, it doesn't.
Good. Perfect. Would you give these to Mr. Cunningham, please? We have to know when to...
Okay.
Take them back now, please. Now, you have a whole bunch of satisfied customers. And I don't think that, based upon what these people tell me, that this is standard fare for you, because otherwise their vet would not have recommended you, and you have satisfied customers. So if these people are not satisfied, you should have given them back their money and said, in 17 years, I never had this kind of problem. I don't want this kind of problem now. My time is too valuable.
Your Honor,
yes,
if I
Mr.
may,
Cunningham.
I believe that I should be paid for my time. If
Well-
I show up 4 times and they refuse to accept any of my... I understand that. The dog, you know what? Here's the thing. Had they been working the dog every week, only 10 minutes a day, that would not have been the case
Mr. Cunningham,
ever.
you know how kind I was just being to you before, a moment ago? I was being kind to you because like 10 million people are going to watch this. A lot of them have dogs. So I was trying to be kind and say, you're a wonderful dog trainer.
Well, I am.
This was an aberration. You should have just said, going to return your money, and that's it. But since you don't seem to get it, what I'm going to tell you is this, sir. If you went to their house first time and then came back for the next session and you found that they weren't following your direction,
Yes.
at that point you could have said, just a minute, I can't work this way. I'm not going to treat this dog in any way that's in any way that's rough, that's going to leave this kind of bruising. Here's your money back. Not the fourth time you came to the house, but the second time you came to the house and said, I can't work with you people. I could work with that dog, but I can't work with you. So here's your money back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $525. Clearly, this dog is not intimidated by anything, not even my voice.
No, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a smart woman. She's seen the injuries to the dog, and she knew.
I've trained dogs for thousands of people, and I've never, ever had a problem.
I don't feel that he meant to hurt him that bad, but I do feel like he was being rough.
Everybody wants to do what I say because that's what's going to get the results.
I felt he was a little bit too rough with the dog.
Dogs are like children. They have to have boundaries. If you don't teach them, they're not going to learn.
If you had to keep being that rough with our dog to train him, then I don't feel he should have been training our dog.
I honestly believe that they just mistook, training for being mean. That's just not the case.
We've been working ourselves with the dog, and he's getting a lot better.
He's part of the family.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sarah Borden versus Taylor Marquez. Step forward, please.
19-year-old barista Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden are suing their former roommates, 20-year-old cashier Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor, for breaking a lease. Angela says she moved out because she was scared to live with Devin.
The two of you decided to lease an apartment with the two of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Leased the apartment when?
December 11th in 2004.
Moved in when?
That same day.
That was fast. How big an apartment?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
You're not married?
No.
You're not married?
No,
You're going to have a baby?
Yes.
Well, everything's... You're all friends, right? Yes. When did you move out?
January 28th, 2005.
Okay, and you want 3 months' rent from them?
Yes.
Because you're stuck with the lease?
Yeah.
And you also say that when they moved out, they took some property that didn't belong to them.
Yes, they did.
You'll tell me about that in a minute. And you say you had to move out because she threatened you, and they both told you to go. Mm-hmm. And you just went. And you couldn't be stressed out because you're pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
20.
How old are you?
I'm 20, Your Honor.
Do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you work at?
Firefighter.
And you?
Cashier.
Two 20-year-olds having a baby? That would make me nervous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She grabs the salt and the pepper, she throws it against the wall. She comes after me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me.
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden claim former roommates Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor owe for breaking a lease.
Okay. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes, we are.
Do you have new roommates?
Not yet.
How much is the rent?
$865 a month.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barista.
A what?
A barista.
What's a barista?
I work at Starbucks. Cashier, make drinks.
Yeah, they make burritos and things.
Oh, barista. No, really, seriously.
A barista, yeah.
Is that what it's called, a barista?
Yes.
So you work at Starbucks full-time?
Part-time.
What else do you do?
I'm a student.
How much do you make from working as a barista?
I make $7.20 an hour.
How much do you take home every week?
Every 2 weeks, I make about $200.
And that's what you support yourself on?
Myself, yeah.
And what about you?
Seasonal firefighter.
Seasonal firefighter?
Seasonal firefighter.
What does that mean?
Work with the Forest Service, so wildland firefighting, just with the summer.
What do you do the rest of the time?
Right now, I'm working as an athletic trainer.
You train people individually or what?
It's with the high school.
How much do you make?
It's $12.66 an hour, and I bring home about $2,000, a little over $2,000 a month.
Okay, so you can afford the rent?
Yes.
Great. You're going to stay in this apartment?
Yes.
Why don't you sign off on the lease?
We did, Your Honor. We tried.
No, you either did or you tried.
We did.
You did sign off on the lease.
My fiance had gone.
to the manager's office and asked for a release form. And we showed it to them, and they said they weren't going to sign us off if we didn't pay the February rent.
You left there because of your own safety, is that right?
Yes.
You had security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much security deposit did you put down?
$250.
That's for both of you, was the security deposit?
It was actually $450, but in half it was about $225 each on deposit from each couple.
From each couple?
From each couple.
Okay. You moved out January 28th. Why shouldn't you be responsible for February's rent? They certainly couldn't find somebody else in 2 days to rent the apartment.
Because January, I would say the 21st, on January is a Sunday. I had like the last straw with them. I was like in a mood that I couldn't talk to them. I didn't want to just go out there and say stuff. And so finally I told Mike if we could talk. And he said, sure, meet us for dinner here at the house and we'll talk. So we talked about it. We sat there. I went first and I told her how I felt and everybody. And then she went and she said how she felt and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden, she went crazy. She went out of this world. She pulled out of her chair. She started screaming and saying, I'm not happy that you're pregnant. It's not fair that you're pregnant. I had an abortion. I did this and this and this and that. And she thought, it's my fault that I brought you together and you're pregnant. You're going to suffer and you're this and that. And then she just pulls out of her chair. She grabs the salt and the pepper. She throws it against the wall. She goes back to her room screaming and just going crazy. She comes back out of her room throwing stuff, just hitting walls and whatnot. She comes after me. Like she was this close from me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me. Then
what was she saying to you?
Saying that she couldn't take it anymore. She didn't like living with me and Gary, that she hated the fact that I was pregnant, and she had to see me happy. She didn't want to see me happy. And I was like, okay, why don't you want to see me happy?
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Now, why were you upset?
We were all upset.
I assume you were all upset.
Yeah.
Good. I don't want to be upset.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be upset. Where are you living now?
We're living somewhere else now, in another apartment.
They signed off on the lease on January 25th.
That was the date I got the papers, and that was the day I wanted all of us to get the signatures so we can get off the lease.
Did you or did you not sign off on the lease?
We
did.
signed it, and they had to sign it. The manager told us, we cannot get you off the lease unless they sign you off because they're still staying there.
Fine. Court will draft an order 5 days from today. Do you all live in the same town?
Yes.
Yes.
Ma'am.
You're all going to meet in the landlord's office, 9 a.m. Sign the release form. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I am going to award you their share of February's rent because they had an obligation to pay at least 1 month's rent for you to spend that month looking for a new roommate if that's what you wanted to do. I think that that's fair, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you sign off on the lease, you will also get a check for $250 for your security deposit. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you don't go there 5 days from today, I'm giving the plaintiffs the right to come back and ask for a judgment for the remainder of the lease. And they will take it out of your pay. Do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
Do you understand the order?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's get to what property you say they took when they moved out.
When they were moved out, they took a lot of belongings and stuff.
Oh,
when they moved
a
out.
lot of belongings doesn't help me, madam.
They took food, they took
I don't
cleaning
care.
supplies.
Are you kidding me or what? Other than food and cleaning supplies.
That's all they took.
I hope you've replaced them. You don't want the food back, do you?
No.
Good. Okay, you understand the order?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really don't care. Like, to tell you the truth, it's over and done with, and I never have to see them again.
We wanted them out of there in February. We wanted the rent paid. We wanted it over.
We should have gotten more money out of them, I think. We all agreed from the beginning. Both of us, as couples, didn't work out. We would split and go our separate ways.
They can't stand us, we can't stand them.
We were friends.
Okay, that's fine. Judge Judy had her say in it, that's fine.
Definitely not going to a lease with people you are, like, weary about.
Glad it's over, and I'm just glad I'm away from her, and she's psycho.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Plaster versus Deal. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Shirley Bonnie Plaster is suing her former friend, 25-year-old homemaker Tamara Deal, for unpaid child care fees. Tamara says Bonnie agreed to take her children so they wouldn't have to live in a gang-infested neighborhood.
Ms. Plaster, it is your claim that the defendant, who has 3 children, owes you for child care. Her children lived with you for a period of time. She gave you some money, but you still claim she owes you $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Deal says she owes you nothing because of one of 2 things. Either you waived any support during the mediation that you evidently had about something, and second, that there was never any agreement to pay you for taking care of her children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why was she taking care of your children?
I had some problems in the neighborhood that I was living in, and it was basically a bad community, and I had to do what was best and get my children out of there as soon as possible.
And how long did they all stay with you?
From June the 11th, Bradley stayed with me until March the 4th, and then the others from August and October until March the 4th.
Where were you living during all of this time?
I recently...
Richard, don't look down. Look at me.
I recently moved out of the apartment that I was moving in because of the community, and I went to stay in hotels. That's why I thought it was best that Bonnie helped me out and take care of my kids.
Who were you living in the hotels with?
Me and the father of my children.
You have a drug problem?
No, ma'am.
Did he?
No, ma'am.
So then why weren't you working?
We were working.
Well, 2 people working, it would seem to me you could have some sort of place for your children.
Right. At the time, you know, struggling, trying to keep up the bill of the hotel and the gas to go back and forth to work and the money to eat on, it took us a long time to try to save the money up so that we could get on our feet.
You knew Miss Plaster through your mother, is that right?
Not only through my mother, but she took custody of my cousin when he was about 9 months old.
How old is he now?
16.
So she's a very good parent.
Yes.
What arrangements did you make to pay her for taking care of your children?
I gave her $150 a week, every week.
Is that right?
She was paying me $150, then she fell behind in November and stopped paying me.
How come?
Back in November, I lost my brother. I had to take some leave of absence from work, and when I went to go back to work in December, they asked me not to come back because I had been off work for so long, so I wasn't getting a check every week. And then 2 weeks after that, my grandmother passed away as well.
Now, what about the father of these children?
He was with me.
Why wasn't he giving her any money?
He wasn't bringing home much. You know, $200-300 a week is basically getting us by. I mean, it's $350 for a week of hotel.
If it's $350 a week for hotel, madam, you can find a small apartment for less than that.
No, not where we live.
Where do you live?
In Virginia.
Sure you
It's
can.
$1,200 a month for an apartment.
Yeah.
And when you're bringing home $300 a week, that's not making it much. It's
Well,
not
you
gonna
just
make a
told me it
difference.
was $350 a week for a hotel room.
Yeah, and we were struggling. And that's why I told Mrs. Plaster that when I got my taxes that I would give her some money because I didn't pay her in November when I lost my job.
So how much money did you give her?
$1,000.
And how much money do you owe her?
Nothing. After I gave her the $1,000, nothing was said until I was served with a court paper.
Ms. Plaster, I'll hear you.
She paid me $1,000 February the 12th, and I watched the kids from February the 12th to March the 4th when they took them out of there. She owed me $2,000 on February the 12th. She gave me $1,000.
So she owes you $1,600.
Right. But I rounded off to make it just even $1,500.
She said in November, I assume when you stopped working, you got behind.
Correct.
And you were behind $2,000. You gave her $1,000 at that time in February.
That's not right. I mean, a month, that's $600. Okay, that's what I, you know, if I owe her anything, that's what I should have been owing her. But I gave her the $1,000 in February because I didn't give her any money for December.
When you gave her the
$1,000
$1,000 in February, did you take your children home?
No, I took them home
Just a
in
second.
March.
So they stayed with her for another month, another 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Are they with you now?
Yes, they are.
Who else do you live with?
The father of my kids.
You have 3 children with this man. Is there any reason why you're not married to him?
The time isn't right. I mean...
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Thank you.
Let's step out.
You know, a week after I sent my children to her, a guy got shot in the neighborhood.
Now I'm missing the kids because they had to move back with her.
We're still going to be friends, communicate. I don't have any problems against her. I just wish maybe she could have talked to me about it more.
She just wouldn't pay me the money.
I'm very appreciative of what she has done for me. Like I said, I tried to help her out the best I could too.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lee versus Gann. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Jonathan Lee is suing his former friend, 20-year-old student Christopher Gann, for killing his fish when he dumped soap in his freshwater aquarium. Christopher says it was an accident.
Your first name is Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're Christopher?
Christopher.
And you used to be roommates?
Yes.
How long were you roommates?
About a year.
You go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
What year are you in?
I'm a third year, ma'am.
I too am a third year.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Computer science.
You don't want to be a veterinarian, do you?
No.
Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher destroyed your fish tank.
Yes, ma'am.
Based upon those relics there, it was a big fish tank.
Yes, ma'am.
And he destroyed your fish tank with soapy water.
Yes, ma'am.
Killed all the fish.
Yes, ma'am.
He says it was the fish's fault.
More or less, ma'am.
They were in the wrong place in the apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
And he tripped over them. Is that right, Christopher?
I
read your answer.
I kind of bumped into the tank, which
Because you say in your answer, the tank and the fish was placed in a high-traffic zone.
Yeah, I have a set of photographs with the picture of where the tank is, and it's.
I'd like to see that.
Oh.
Okay. When did this happen?
Sometime in November.
Jonathan, when did it happen?
November 18th, 2004, ma'am.
And you came home and found everything destroyed.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right? Okay. And this is where the fish tank was?
Yes.
And it wasn't on wheels, was it?
It's on cinder blocks.
It's not one of these remote-controlled fish tanks that move around.
No.
How long have you been living in this apartment?
Almost a year.
And in the year, has the fish tank been in the same spot?
It was placed in the end of summer, and then it happened in November.
So it's been there for a couple of months.
Few months, yes.
Stationary.
Stationary.
And the only thing that's moved is you.
Is me, yes.
You get my drift where I'm
Right.
going.
Oh, and I wrote in.
So why don't you tell me, Christopher, how this happened and why you don't think that you're responsible to your former roommate for replacing his fish tank?
First off, I have a copy of our rental agreement, which states that no pets should be allowed, and that no things should be placed in hallways that obstruct movement. So what had happened was I'd filled this bowl with soap, concentrated hand soap and water, and I was walking from the kitchen to the garage because I wanted to spot clean my shoes. So as I was walking with this bowl, I saw my roommate who crossed from downstairs into this pseudo hallway because it's the main walkway from rooms entrance to the kitchen. So I took the bowl away to get it away from him, and then he made a sudden move to like try to mess with me, and I kind of stepped back and I banged my elbow into the fish tank, dropping the bowl into the tank. And that's what happened.
Do you have any witnesses that were there that day?
Actually, no one witnessed it, so no one saw it.
Well, the other roommate was there, according to him.
He didn't tell me anything beyond that they were horsing around. That's it.
Tell me what happened when you got home.
When I got home, I came in from the garage and basically saw him and another roommate removing bubbles from the tank. And I was kind of shocked, and I go, "What happened?" He said, "I spilled soap into your tank." "How'd you do it?" "I was horsing around." "Well, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm moving the bubbles." So I ran over there and tried to fish the fish out of the tank with a net and put them into fresh water, hoping that I could save their lives. They were kind of floundering around, but I mean, there was still some sort of life in them.
How many fish did you have in the tank?
I had sitlets and plecos and a gourami, ma'am. I was trying to breed them.
So you had 6 fish?
I believe I had 7, 9, 10 fish and 2 snails, ma'am.
And they all died?
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher, listen to me carefully, sir. Whose fault do you think it is that all these fish died?
I think it's mutual, like, he shouldn't have had the tank there in the first place.
The tank's been there for months, sir. When for the first time did you complain to him that the tank was there?
I didn't want to complain to him.
So you never complained to him?
No.
When for the first time did you complain to him that he was in violation of the lease because he had pets in the apartment?
After he trying to come after me for $400.
But not before?
No.
So that's a lot of baloney. What you're saying to me really is, it's my fault and I'm trying to find some reason to avoid responsibility. So far, I haven't heard it's my fault because I was horsing around with my roommate.
It is my fault.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $330. Thank you. That's all.
You may step out.
I think it's completely ridiculous that he's allowed to get $330 for essentially $30 worth of fish.
There are plenty of sites and experts that'll tell you that if you work with soap and fish, it doesn't mix.
I immediately told him what had happened, and, you know, he just looked confused and said, okay.
I was just shocked. I mean, the fact that someone could have such disregard for life just... It's a horrible thing.
I don't even live there anymore. I just come in, get clothing, leave.
The fish were basically floundering and then they were dying.
I actually do pay rent there still.
Imagine not being able to breathe. That's what they were doing.
We're not even friends anymore.
Hey, he doesn't want to be friends. That's fine too.
All over dead fish.
Dollars. You claim that that was money that you want back now that the relationship is over because that money was really used to defray the cost of his mortgage.
Yes.
In addition, you claim that he has some personal property that belongs to you and a cat. Mr. Lemke says that the money that you paid to him was rent, that the cat belonged to him, that he had the cat prior to your moving in, and he has none of your personal property. What was the financial arrangement when you moved in, Miss Abel?
On May 7th in 2004, we discussed how I could help with expenses. Mr. Lemke brought up the fact that about $1,400 would be fair, and I offered another $100 just to call it an even $1,500 because two women, my daughter and myself, were moving in, and there's a lot of blow dryer and hot water used.
Okay, so you agreed to pay him $1,500 a month.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and?
And then about May 24th, after I had moved in, we had become engaged, we had a discussion concerning my problem with the fact that I'm giving a lot of money to something that I won't get any return on. And why would I want to give $1,500 toward a mortgage that my name was not on? And Mr. Lemke said, well, I've been thinking about that, and here's what I've worked out. And I have the notes that he jotted down that day to explain to me how this money was actually an investment into his property.
Well, first tell me what he said to you.
He said that because his home appreciates $54,000 a year, over the past 10 years it had done that because it's lake property, that if you divide that number by 12 months and then again by two people, it comes out to about $2,200 a month in equity and investment money.
Yes.
And that is what he...
If your name was on the mortgage and if the house was titled in both of your names.
That part was left out. The fact that he
Well,
said,
I understand
yes.
that, but I understand it's left out of your story.
Right, exactly. But he also mentioned on the same piece of paper in an email to the attorney that I'm willing to invest in his home and that upon sale of the home, I would receive the investment money back plus free equity. And that is also in the handwritten note that he gave me.
Let me see it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this note discusses a prenuptial agreement that the two of you were contemplating.
Correct.
And what he says is, Gail wants to enhance the aesthetic ambiance of my cabin and is willing to invest in it. Mm-hmm. Any proceeds over $775,000 would be shared in the event of a sale. Are you okay doing a prenup for both of us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you sold the cabin?
No.
Well, your agreement was that when and if the house was sold, you would share in the profits and get your money back. The house hasn't been sold.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So you can't change the agreement because you're no longer together. You could have just as easily worked out an agreement where you said, well, that's fine. If the house is sold, I get my money back, and if we don't get married, I get some of my money back. But you didn't do that. So you didn't get your money back. The house hasn't been sold. That's your agreement.
But it was a term of our engagement and marriage as I understood it, that money was investment.
You don't make an investment just because you understood it to be an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So you never came to an agreement with regard to that, according to this. Now, you're not suggesting that Mr. Lemke agreed to support you and your daughter.
Oh, not at all.
Good.
Not at all.
So that your $1,500 a month that you paid went for the roof over your head and your daughter's head, the electric that you say you used because you're two women that use more electricity for the heating or air conditioning or whatever else. $1,500 a month is reasonable. Get over it. Now let's get to the cat. Did you have the cat before?
Gail got the cat on her 40th birthday as a gift to herself. and shortly after I met her, gave me the cat.
When?
She said, we met February 3rd, and she gave me the cat February 20th.
Were you living together at the time?
No, she was living in her house. And she gave me the cat because the house was a total mess of animal feces and stink.
Whose
in
house?
Her house.
Yes.
And she had trouble with maintaining all the dogs and the cats in her house. So
How many dogs did she have?
I'm guessing 5 to 10.
Is that how many dogs you had?
I'm a breeder, Your Honor, and I had 5 dogs, yes, at the time.
How many cats?
2. And I would like to say that my house was not as he mentioned.
When did you move into his house?
May 15th, 2004.
All right, so between February and May, the cat was in his house?
No, Your Honor, no. I'm sorry. The cat did not leave my home until April. I had not decided to move in with him until April. And at that point, he asked if he could take the cat ahead of time because his daughters would get a kick out of it.
Okay. When did you move out of the house?
November 26, 2004.
And when you moved out of the house, did you take the cat with you?
No, I couldn't, Your Honor. I had to leave in a hurry because of abusive behavior.
Did you come back on the 27th for your cat? Just answer my question. Did you come back on the 27th for your cat?
Not for the cat, Your Honor. For possessions that I needed, my clothing and that sort of thing that I needed that I could take with me.
Good, but you didn't take your cat.
No, I could not.
Why could not?
He had told me that I must leave the dog and the cat there.
Fine. Did you come back with the police and say, this is my cat?
Yes, I did on February 28th.
Too late. Finished. Cat's his. If somebody took my dog, I guarantee you I would be there. I would file a lawsuit, not for my property, but if somebody took my dog and wouldn't let me have my dog, it wouldn't take me from November 26th to February to say,
Your Honor,
my pet is gone.
I had been asking him for the cat over
Asking
and over
him for the
again.
cat, listen to me, asking him for the cat is not what one does when one is missing one's valued, precious pet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel.
And later today,
I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail Abel says ex-boyfriend Tim Lemke owes for the return of money she invested in his home. Gail also claims Tim won't return her cat.
Go ahead.
I have email of all the times I requested amicably to get the cat back.
Starting before February?
Yes.
Show me before
Absolutely
February.
before February. All right, this starts on January 16th. We had had prior communication until
No, just a
that date.
second. So the first time from November is in January that you have proof of when you asked for the cat back. Is that what you're telling me? Let me
That's
see.
the proof, yes.
Let me see.
It starts at the top of the page.
Where's the cat now, Mr. Lemke?
The cat was loaned to a friend of mine to catch a mouse.
Where is the cat now?
Oh, my house. Excuse me.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you right. Apologize. He was loaned out for a very short amount of time, and she demanded I get the cat back and I could keep the cat as long as I kept the cat at my house. So she came back and verified, and that's in an email that the cat was there, and she said, okay.
Where is that?
It's in an email.
You have it?
Yeah, right here. And when she... Shh. Excuse me.
Well, this in January seems to indicate that you wanted to come to his house to verify that the cat was back in his house.
Yes. And I asked again, may I please take my cat back? And he said no, he wouldn't even let me near it. He had the cat missing for a month, Your Honor. That night he gave me 3 different stories as to where the cat was. First it was with an old lady having surgery.
Where are your dogs now?
The one that I kept is with me. The other dogs I placed in other homes because...
And what about the cat that you had?
I had the cat for 6 years.
Where's the cat?
Oh, the second cat?
Yes.
Oh, the second cat?
Yes, the cat.
The cat we're talking about.
No, your other cat. You said you had 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Right.
Where's the other cat?
Right. The other cat went home with Mr. Lemke's nephew and stayed with his brother. I have that cat back now. I'm very thankful to say.
So you have the cat back?
I have the other cat back, yes. But not this one. But in the top of that email that you see, he said, I will give you the cat back if it's that big of a deal. And I said, yes, it is that big of a deal.
Well, evidently it wasn't such a big deal because you waited 4 months to get it back. Now, what property? Are you telling me that the property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle?
Oh, sorry, Your Honor.
CDs, just a second. A soy sauce bottle, that's what you say in the email. CDs, a tape gun, painting supplies, brush, hand pail, rollers. This is what you say in an email.
Yes, as I discovered things were missing, Your Honor.
I'm not interested in as you discovered. Is this the email that you sent to him on January 19th? Soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel. Listen to me very carefully. It didn't work out. Put your list down. It didn't work out. You paid rent for $1,500 a month for those 6 months that you lived there. Very reasonable, considering you are 2 people. You made that agreement, and the fact that it didn't work out, and you did not memorialize an agreement that was more specific with regard to the $1,500 that you were paying him is your problem. You cannot visit that on courts. It didn't work out. Put a period. Move on. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was naive. I was stupid. I made decisions too quickly, and I trusted someone who should not have been trusted.
The thing that was left out was when she moved in, there wasn't 5 dogs. There ended up being 12.
Extremely controlling. I was told how to breathe, how to stand, how fast I had to get pretty in the morning, and not to wear gray sweatshirts ever.
I'm not controlling.
That's who he is, and I just say the next girl needs to watch out.
She's a wonderful gal. It's too bad.
Your boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
I assume this is the boyfriend.
Yes, he is.
How long have you been his girlfriend?
We're actually broken up right now. We were dating for about a month.
Not dating anymore?
No.
Any particular reason?
We were good friends, and I didn't want to ruin our friendship.
Okay. It is your complaint that Mrs. Irwin, for no good reason, broke your cell phone.
Yes, she did.
And you want her to pay for it.
Yes.
And Miss Irwin says you were an uninvited guest in her home, and that precipitated this incident with the cell phone. So why don't you tell me when this happened?
This happened in February, the 21st. Ryan and I were dating at the time. We had gotten back to his house and we were watching TV, relaxing.
Where were you watching TV?
Up in his living room. And Bernice came home.
Bernice, that's you?
Yes. And she came home yelling and freaking out on Ryan. She began to yell at him even more and put him down.
What was she saying?
You're a loser, you're good for nothing. And then she began to hit him, smack him in the face.
What did he say to her?
Nothing. Nothing was really said. She was just like, you're a loser. And Ryan was just simply not saying anything because I was present. And when she came into the living room, she was yelling at me. And then she had hit Ryan across the face. And then she did it a few more times. And I told her that if she had kept hitting him, that I was going to call the cops because I did not feel comfortable whatsoever. She looked at me and said, I'll do whatever I want. This is my house. Hit him again, and that's when I had called for the police assistance.
Okay, so you used your cell phone to call the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what happened next?
When I was on the phone with the police, she was still yelling at Ryan, and they got it on tape and everything like that. And I had said I need police assistance to this address. And then she had noticed I was on the phone with the cops, and then she had attacked me. And I have pictures here of the bruises from when she grabbed my arm and my wrist.
Is that when your phone was broken?
Yes.
Well, tell me how it got broken, Miss Dickinson.
I was on the phone, and she had grabbed my arm, and then she was fighting with me. I was telling her to let go of me, not to touch me. And then she grabbed the top half of my cell phone and snapped it off and opened her front door and threw it outside in the snow.
Okay. Now I'll see the police report, please.
Okay. I also have pictures of the bruises. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
And there's also pictures of my cell phone. No.
Is this the only police report that you have?
Yes, there was no police report written. It was just a log entry.
Okay. Step up, please. Your first name is Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you, Ryan?
18.
You're not living in your mother's home anymore, is that right?
Yes.
Who are you living with now?
I'm staying with friends now.
How long has it been since you haven't been getting along with your mother?
As long as I can remember.
When did you ultimately move out of the house?
She kicked me out a couple weeks ago after she got arrested for domestic assault on me.
Why don't you get along with your mother?
Because she's crazy.
I also have the police log from her arrest, if you'd like to see that.
I would. Are you going to school, Ryan?
No, not right now.
You working?
No, not currently.
How are you supporting yourself?
I really haven't been.
Okay. All right, Miss Irwin, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a store manager.
Were you working on the 21st of February?
I was.
What were your hours of employment?
On that particular day, I worked till about 6 p.m.
Did you go directly from the store home?
I did not.
Where did you go?
I went to a friend's house, and then I came home.
What time did you get home?
Approximately 7 to 7:30 p.m.
And you came home and you found your son and his girlfriend watching television?
They were in my living room. My house was a total disaster. Ryan was not allowed to have any guests at my home without my permission, which he continued to do so, and I was quite angry.
Had you ever met this young lady before?
Once or twice, yes.
Where?
One time at my house, and another time she was leaving my house for a few minutes. That was it.
You never had any problem with her?
No, I didn't.
So what happened when you came home on the 21st?
I'd asked Ryan why he had a guest in my home. We'd had many problems in the past with him having company, and I told him he was not allowed to have anybody in my home without my permission. Ryan got very angry at me and started swearing, cursing, calling me several names. He then spit in my face, literally, and I slapped him across the face once. At that point, Jamie had gotten off my sofa and started calling me names that I will not even repeat, and I asked them to leave my house. They refused.
Shh. Yes?
She did say, threatened she was going to call the police. I, at that time, told her if indeed she called the police, my son probably would have been arrested because he was on probation.
For what?
Numerous things, assault and battery, disturbing the peace. He was on probation for assault and battery on a police officer.
That's serious stuff?
It had
Ryan?
been serious stuff.
That's serious stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so she called the police.
Yeah, I didn't know she was on the phone. I had just got done telling her if indeed she called the police.
There was a lot of screaming going around, so
yes, there was.
Everybody was screaming. I want to know how her phone got broken.
She got on the phone with somebody, I'm not sure who, saying that I was abusing my son, which was not true.
That was with the police.
My son had just spit in my face, and I did slap him across the face after he had called me several vulgar names. One time I did slap him across the face. Yes, I did.
I want to know how her phone got broken.
Well, she was on the phone, and I, at that point, once again told her, if you want to make the phone call, go outside. I need you to get out of my house. And she refused to leave, so I took the phone out of her hands. And as far as I know, it was the top part of her cell phone that did snap off. And at that point, I threw it outside to make them leave my house. I'd asked them several times to leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Set your sights a little higher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have
Don't
a new
say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan.
And later today,
Buster's a stubborn dog, there's no doubt about it.
I have a very stubborn dog, but she has been very, very well trained.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Dickinson says her ex-boyfriend's mother owes for breaking her cell phone. Bernice Irwin claims Jamie was trespassing on her property.
Okay. There are a couple of things that I don't quite understand, Miss Irwin, and I think that probably you would have been more prudent if when you came home and found Ryan there watching television with his girlfriend, you waited until she left and then confronted him. As far as I've heard, they weren't doing anything untoward. They were sitting and watching television in your living room. So when you came home and started to go off on him in front of his girlfriend, especially a kid that you'd had trouble with and that clearly has a temper, that probably wasn't the most prudent thing to do. And then there was a lot of yelling and screaming. However, Miss Dickinson was an invited guest to your home. She was invited by your son, who lives there, or did then. And whatever argument you were having with your son, and I'm not going to get into slapping him in the face or screaming or yelling or bad names, I'm not getting into that. The only thing that's before me is whether you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. I believe her when she says that she told you she was going to call the police, and I believe you knew she was calling the police because that's what she said she was going to do. And at that time, if you grabbed her by the arm and grabbed her cell phone and snapped it off and then threw it outside, you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. It seems to me that there was an altercation in your home and it was getting out of hand. It was a good thing that she was calling the police. So why would you be angry? So, how much was the cell phone?
It is $199.99. I have the paper from the website singular.com.
Okay, can I see it, please? And the cell phone. Who is this person?
Carol, a friend of mine.
Was she there that evening?
She wasn't there that evening.
Okay. This is one of these cute little phones that takes pictures?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't take pictures. Okay, that's all you're suing for, the cost of the cell phone. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, that about covers everything.
What do you do for a living, Miss Dickerson?
I babysit, and I used to work at CVS. I had just quit my job, though, because I'm still in high school, and I'm graduating this year, so it was kind of hard doing both.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Lots of times. Set your sights a little higher. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have a new
Don't say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan. You got a little ways to go to get your act together, young man. Somebody who's 18 years old, who's not going to school, who's not working, who's not supporting themselves, who's got an arrest history, according to your mother, that's lengthy, is not going down the right path. The yellow brick road is eluding you, Ryan. You're going to have to find it. Otherwise, you're going to be dead by the time you're 30. That would be a shame, right? Be smart. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $199. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm a little confused about the whole thing, actually. I don't really believe that I broke Jamie's cell phone.
I was not brought up that way. I was brought in a very well-nurtured home where no violence is present.
I did ask her to leave my home along with my son.
Mom overreacts a whole lot.
I'm really hoping that we can be friends yet again, mother and daughter. Mother and son, I'm sorry.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Macias versus Ayala, step forward, please.
Medical coder Alina Macias is suing the mother of her son's schoolmate, business owner Sandra Ayala, for the cost of her son's medical bills and pain and suffering. Alina says Sandra's boy injured her son with a pencil.
Step over there. No, you have...
Yeah, no.
Okay, you too.
What's your first name?
Nathaniel.
And yours?
Jonathan.
Nathaniel, you were injured in school.
Right.
With a pencil.
Yes.
You sat down, according to the complaint. You sat down on your chair, and you were stuck in the rear end with a pencil which lodged in your buttocks and had to be surgically removed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And it is your claim that this young man was responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I assume that you didn't see how the pencil got there. Because if you had seen how the pencil got there, you wouldn't have sat on it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't see how it got there?
No, ma'am.
So Jonathan here is going to tell me, because I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
12-year-old Nathaniel Mancha says his classmate, 12-year-old Jonathan Ayala, stuck him with a pencil. Jonathan claims it was an accident.
How old are you?
12.
How do you do in school?
Good.
How is your conduct in school?
Good, too.
Never have any complaints by the teachers?
A little bit only.
Speak up.
A little bit only.
And when the teachers complain about you a little bit only, what do they complain about?
Like sometimes talking and then like a little bit slacking off.
Now, you know Nathaniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long has he been in your class?
This year only.
Do you like him?
Uh-huh.
Did you play together?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the day that he was hurt with the pencil?
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how the pencil got on his chair.
Well, I was doing my work and like the pencil was like small. So I didn't want it anymore, so I wanted to throw it to the trash. And
It's just the pencil was small.
yes.
And you're sitting in your seat.
Uh-huh.
And you wanted to throw the pencil in the trash.
Yes.
Where was the trash?
Next to Nate's chair.
And how far away from Nate were you sitting?
At least like 2.5 feet.
So very close.
Uh-huh. But
So now you got this little pencil, and you wanted to throw it away, And the trash was right next to him.
Yes, it was right next to his chair.
What were you going to use to complete your work?
Another pencil that I had on my desk, which was bigger.
So you had a little well on your desk where you could keep the pencils?
No, I always put my pencils next to my papers.
Do you have a book bag?
Yeah, in my backpack.
Where is your backpack?
I left it home that day.
What were you wearing to school?
My school emblem shirt and my jeans.
Your shirt have a pocket?
No.
Your jeans have a pocket?
Yeah, but they're tight.
You know you're pretty swift. You think that you're smarter than I am?
No.
You're not, Jonathan. Believe me, you're not. You know where I'm going with these questions?
Uh-huh.
Where do you think I'm going with these questions?
Trying to see if I'm telling the truth or not.
Yeah, trying to see if you could put the pencil someplace else rather than throw. What you're going to tell me is you threw the pencil into the trash. Or you tried to throw it into the trash.
Yeah, I was going to.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And it landed straight up on Jonathan's chair. And he sat on it. Right?
I didn't land straight on the chair. It was going through the chair when he sat on it because he was...
It was in midair when he sat on it.
Yes, I was pointing up.
And he got hurt.
Uh-huh.
Well, whose fault do you think that is?
Mine.
Right. Now we're getting somewhere. Why is it your fault?
Because I threw a pencil.
Because you threw the pencil. You had choices. Right?
Uh-huh.
You chose throwing the pencil. Right?
Right.
So whether you threw the pencil and he sat on it or you placed it on his chair as sort of a joke, it's your fault. Right? See, I knew we'd get somewhere. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now you can sit down. I mean, Miss Ayala, quite frankly, you wrote the answer. You told me in the answer that this was nobody's fault. It was the pencil's fault. Oh, next to your mother. It's not the pencil's fault. It's his fault. He had choices. And at age 12, he has to understand that there are consequences to making the wrong choice. His choice was he could have held on to the pencil. He could have put it in his pocket. He could have placed it on the floor. He chose to throw it, according to him, which way out, but you know, not impossible. Certainly not his fault that he sat down on his chair, right?
Right.
So now your son understands that it's his fault and his responsibility that he got hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Perfect. Good. Now can I see his medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of treatment did you get?
They put me under.
Under anesthesia?
Yes. And I had to get the pencil surgically removed from my buttocks.
Did you have any stitches?
Yes.
How many stitches did you have?
1.
Were you uncomfortable for a while?
Yes.
What did Jonathan say after you sat on the pencil? Did he apologize?
No.
Has he ever apologized to you?
No.
Have you spoken to him since this happened?
Yes.
Are you back to being friends?
Yes.
Good. Did you apologize?
No, I never got a chance to.
Well, now's a chance.
Sorry, Nate, for throwing the pencil.
Certainly, Miss Ayala, you don't expect the plaintiff to bear any of the cost of treating her son. They had almost $600 in unreimbursed medical bills, and that you are responsible for. Because as between the two of you, he's innocent and he's not. Whether he did it as a joke or whether he did it because he was negligent or because he wasn't thinking. So you are responsible for those medical bills. Are these your only bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600, that's all.
Pardon, Judge Judy, you may step out.
Because it was April Fool's, I thought it was a joke. He never made a malicious intent to hurt anybody. He started crying and panicking and that there was a pistol stuck in his rear.
I didn't mean to do it on purpose.
This wasn't a malicious act.
I think it was an April Fool's joke.
Surya.
How long had the two of you been dating?
We dated for about 2.5 years.
Did you live together?
No.
But it is your claim that while you were dating, you made a series of loans to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gunasegra says there were no loans, just the give and take of a normal dating relationship, and he acknowledges that you laid out some money for him. He said that that's part of the dating relationship. Is that right, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. When did you start dating?
We started dating in October of 2002.
And when was the first loan that you made to him?
In July of 2004.
What was it for?
It was for a trip. We went on a couple of trips after he got back from Europe after he graduated from college. And the first trip we made was with his parents to Canada. And when we would go out, I would pay. And he would always say, oh, when we get back and I get a job, I'll pay you back. And then we went to my hometown in Georgia, and I paid for the hotel, and we went out to dinner. And he said that he would pay for half of it when we got back, and he got a job.
Well, did he ever get a job?
No.
Huh?
No, Your Honor.
He never got a job?
Not until recently.
What's next?
In August, I went to Barcelona to study abroad for the semester, and I thought he was going to stay home and get a job so he could finally get the money to pay me back. And I would question him on if he's been applying to jobs. He would say he would go into interviews, so I figured he was on a line to get a job eventually, hopefully sooner than later.
Go ahead, Sandra. I'm listening for the rest of the loans.
Okay, so then he moved to Europe, and he eventually came to Barcelona, and I paid for his rent while he lived there, and I paid for his food, and anywhere we would go out, I would pay. And every time I would give him money, he would say, don't worry, you know, when we get back, I'll get a job. I promise I'll pay you back.
Keep going.
Then we finally came back to the States, and he was going to interviews quite often. He would say he got a job offer, but then wouldn't take it.
Keep going with the loans, my dear.
So in March of 2005, we took a trip to Las Vegas, and I paid for everything while we were there. And then I really just got tired of him not paying me back. We got back home.
You say in your complaint that he wanted $500 to gamble with.
Yes.
And you gave it to him.
I did.
Who are these two gentlemen over here?
This is my roommate, Danny McGee, and he was in Vegas with us. And then this is my friend, Devin, and he is a mutual friend of ours. He used to hang out with us. He would see me giving Surya money all the time and him promising to pay me back.
Well, I want to hear about the promise to pay you back. Raise your hand, please.
Sorry, my
Name?
name's Danny. Danny McGee. I'm roommates with Sandy, and I went on a trip to Vegas with both of them. And there's been times in the past where she would give him money to gamble with the agreement that if he lost, she would take the loss, and if he won, that they'd split the winnings. And this trip to Vegas, she was hesitant to go because he didn't have any money. And we got out there, and I saw her $200 or $300 that he borrowed from her. And she said specifically at the time, I'm going to give you this money, and if you lose, you owe it to me. And he agreed and actually lost all the money. And since then, I know he's had 2 jobs and has made no effort to pay her back whatsoever.
You have anything to add to this case?
Yeah, I do, actually. Should I stand up?
Yes, you should.
Okay. Well,
Your name?
my name is Devin Stinson, and I've called him before in the past, and I've said, hey, let's go get some food or something. And he'd say, well, you got to call Sandy because I don't have any money. And then I'd call Sandy, and we'd all go out, and then what would wind up happening is he would order, and then after everything was over, he would say, well, I don't have any money, and he'd just expect it to be paid for.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ball's in your court.
Well, first off, let me say that the only reason I went to Europe was because I had a job. I had an internship with a software company, and I had that for a while, and it didn't end up working out. My plane ticket wasn't for 6 weeks later, so Sandy and I both agreed that it would be good to spend that 6 weeks together because I was actually living in Switzerland at the time. And so I came down to Barcelona, and I did have some income through a rental property of mine. So I was making some type of money.
Surya, how old are you?
23.
Am I correct? According to your answer, you're in law school now?
No, not till August.
Where?
Thomas Jefferson or the University of Denver. I haven't chosen one.
What college did you graduate from?
University of Colorado.
And you?
I'm still in school at the University of Colorado.
Where do you get all this money from, Sandra?
I have 2 jobs that I work.
What 2 jobs do you work?
I am the assistant manager at a bowling alley at the school, and I work for the housing department at the university.
Who's paying your tuition?
My parents are.
Did they like him?
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Well, I'm sure he can be charming.
You sure can.
when the first time you went out for dinner with him, and he said, I'm sorry, I left my wallet in my other car. I left my wallet in Switzerland. That should have been a clue. It sounds to me, based upon what this young man has testified to, that this was sort of a regular occurrence. You would go out for a meal, he would eat, and you would pay. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Should have known better, Sandra. Who is this, by the way?
This is Ryan Watson. He's my roommate.
Does he have anything to contribute to this case?
Yeah. I'll let him explain.
I witnessed on many occasions Surya doing favors for Sandy, tutoring her and cleaning and making her dinner and things like that. And on some of those occasions, she would ask Surya to help her do those things, and Surya would say, no, not right now, I'm busy. But then she would say, Surya, you owe me so much money, using that against him, and he would end up doing that. So in both our opinions...
So you mean he was bartering domestic chores
right.
for the money he owed her?
Right.
And educational, Your Honor.
Syria, do you think that Sandra tutored you in some things?
As far as school?
Anything!
It's quite possible.
She didn't charge you for it, did she?
Emotionally, she charged me.
How did she... Shh, come on, folks. Come on, behave. Let's behave. How did she charge you emotionally?
I had to put up with so much ridiculous nonsense.
Surya, that you don't have to put up with it. I don't want to hear it. You weren't tethered to a radiator, were you?
In a metaphorical sense.
No metaphorical sense. No metaphorical
Literally,
sense.
no.
You were in Switzerland. She was in Barcelona. Nobody got a magnet and attached it to you in Switzerland. You came down there by your...
own recognizance.
You're not in law school yet. Let's stick to the English you understand, sir.
Okay.
You think you took advantage of her?
I don't.
You just think that she understood what she was getting herself into. She had the money at the time. You did not.
Right.
And she wanted to travel to Vegas. You said, I'll go with you, but I have no money.
Yeah, she
and
understood
she said,
that I had
got the money. You pay me back when you get a job.
No, the arrangement was she was going to cover all the expenses.
Why?
Why? Because they needed a third person to go. Danny and her weren't just going to go by themselves.
Why?
Because they needed motivation. And I was that motivation.
Sandra,
Yes,
you schlepped around with him for 2 years.
Yes,
You let him take advantage of you for 2 years. So then what you do is you say, thank God I figured out that this was not Mr. Right. Before I planned a wedding with him, I had a child with him. You can sit down now, roommate. I don't think you had a valid contract with him. I think you had the hopes and the dreams of a young lady who was in love. And I'm sure that there was a time when he felt mutually. But you're a giver, and he's a taker. Somehow in his own mind, he is entitled to take. Where are your parents?
In Santa Monica?
Did they indulge you?
Not really.
It sounds to me as if you've been indulged. Switzerland, Barcelona, working, not working, looking for just the right gig. The girlfriend takes care of you. There's a sense, Syria, of entitlement. Shh, do not answer. Now it's my turn. Sandra may find you irresistible, I guarantee you, sir. I do not. So, Sandra, I wish in my heart I could say to you, you had a valid contract, which is the only thing that I'm here to address. You did not have a contract recognized in the law for him to pay you back. But I'm telling you, I think that you're lucky because you're a lovely-looking, intelligent, hard-working young lady who should not hitch her star to somebody who has a sense of entitlement and who will just use you in one way or another for your whole life. Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Goodbye. Good luck.
Parties are excused.
Syria.
I step out.
Grow up.
She made her decision. That's fine. I hope Sandy has a great life, and I wish her well.
We were in a relationship, and when you're in a relationship, you do things together. You cook dinner and you clean.
They're about sharing and trust.
You help the other person out when they need help, and That's all part of a relationship.
We loved each other.
I've learned to not just give out my money to people because I think I'm in love.
She gave up.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spandy versus Greta, step forward, please.
Computer operator Tim Spandy is suing his daughter's former friend, 18-year-old event coordinator Tom Grether, for wrecking his wife's car. Tom says he was driving because Tim's daughter was drunk.
Mr. Spandy, this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Your daughter was driving your car?
No, she wasn't.
Whose car was she using?
It was my wife's car.
So your daughter was driving your wife's car with your permission. She goes to a party or some sort of gathering, and this young man was there. She got too drunk to drive home. She asked him to drive home. He was also drunk. He totaled the car. You want him to pay for the car.
Yes, that's correct, ma'am.
And Mr. Grether says, well, he has certain responsibility. He doesn't have total responsibility. Your daughter has partial responsibility. Okay. When was this party?
February 13th.
At a house?
Yeah.
Did you know Mr. Grether before the party?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How much did you drink?
I think I had like 4 cups of beer.
Why did you drink if you were driving?
I was planning on staying over.
So why didn't you stay over?
Because there's some drama about missing pieces, and then all
Missing pieces? What?
Bongs.
What is that?
Stuff you smoke marijuana out of.
There was drama about some drugs.
Yeah.
What kind of drama was there about drugs?
One kid accused one of Tom's friends of stealing piece.
So there was some drama, so you wanted to go home?
Well, because all of Tom's friends were leaving, and Tom invited us to the party. We didn't know the people whose house it was at, so we all decided to leave and go back to Tom's.
And you were too drunk to drive?
Yeah.
So you really didn't have good judgment?
Yeah.
What about Tom?
Well, my friends said they gave him a drunk test and see if he could walk a line and if he had slurred speech, and he said he stopped drinking 2 hours before that.
So you had your friends, your drunken friends, give him an alcohol sobriety test. Is that what you're telling me, Miss Spandy?
Yes.
And your slightly inebriated friends told you that he was sufficiently sober to drive your mother's car?
Yeah.
Tell me how you totaled her mother's car.
We were driving down a dirt and gravel road, and the car had spun out, and we had crashed into a tree.
All right. Now we'll hear you.
Yeah. Before we started driving, he decided to whip a donut in a cul-de-sac, which was a dirt road. And I'm like, Tom, you need to stop. And he was like, okay, I used to drive a Ford Contour, I have total control. And so then he stops, and then he was like, hey, look at this. And I saw his hand reaching for the emergency brake, but I don't really know if he pulled it or whatever. It just happened too fast. We lost control, and then we ran into a tree.
I was only kidding. I actually never got grasp of the emergency brake. 3 other vehicles ahead of me had spun out at the exact same spot that I had spoke with afterwards. They were all driving
What I don't
SUVs.
understand, Mr. Spandy, is why you think your daughter is not at least partially responsible for what happened that night.
Well, for one thing, the defendant here, he was driving with a suspended license. He knew he was not supposed to be behind the driver's wheel at all.
He was drunk. Put your hand down. They were all drinking and doing marijuana.
I understand that.
Mr. Spandy, your daughter took her mother's car and acted irresponsibly with it. She drank. She was probably smoking marijuana. She gave the car to somebody who was given a field sobriety test by a bunch of other teenage alcoholics. And you think she bears no responsibility?
Well, he should have known right from wrong. I mean...
He was wrong. There's no question he was wrong. You don't take your mother's car and then drink.
I agree.
And you don't take your mother's car and then drink and do bongs or whatever they are. What you do is, if you think that you're going to drink, you say, Dad, would you drive me to the party and pick me up? Or if you don't intend to drink and then you go to the party and you drink, you say, give me the phone, I'm going to call my father to come pick me up. She could have done that too, right?
Yes, and that's what she's been instructed to do.
But you mean before this incident, you told her, if you drink, call us, we'll come pick you up, right? So she did the wrong thing.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking you, Mr. Spandy. I'm not saying that Mr. Grether here is going to get off scot-free. But what I'm telling you is your daughter bears some responsibility for what happened that night.
I agree. I mean, she was in the wrong, but for somebody of his age, a little bit older, selling alcohol and all that other stuff
Just a
going on,
second.
that
How old is your daughter?
17.
And how old are you?
I'll be 19 in a few weeks.
Listen, she's 17, he's 18. You know how much longer it takes a boy to mature than it takes a girl to mature?
Yes.
I just want you to take a look at him. Take a look at him. You'll understand what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
I understand completely.
Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All right. So don't tell me that he's so much older and is selling liquor. She's 17 years old. She shouldn't be drinking 5 beers, right?
I understand that.
Bad judgment.
Yes, very.
And if you start...
May I please add on the...
Don't say anything.
Sorry.
All right. Start with this premise, Mr. Spandy. But for the fact that your daughter did the wrong thing, you would not be standing here today.
Correct.
She did the wrong thing 3 times. She took the car. She drank.
Yes.
Going forward to work.
Oh.
I had to buy them.
Well, I want to tell you something, sir. I guarantee you, whatever work you do, I make more money than you do, and I don't drive an Acura with $350 a piece tires. So if you owe somebody for a phone bill that's in their name, you can find yourself a 1965 VW Bug, drive it around, right, with $50 tires, and make sure that your obligations are paid for. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $967. Thank you very much. That's
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He was no good. I just want to let all the girls in LA know Brad is no good. That's that.
Okay.
That's that.
I'm very good. I'm definitely somebody else's game. So, all you women in LA, I am single.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Cheatham versus Oldenkamp, Celine.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first say that when you prepare papers for court, which are a complaint and an answer, and in your case, a countersuit, you're supposed to prepare them so that the judge, in reading over a file, can understand the nature of your lawsuit. And quite frankly, sir, I don't understand what you're suing for. Something about a computer, something about slander. I have no idea how this problem started. And quite frankly, I don't understand your countersuit either. So, go ahead, Mr. Cheatham.
Now, there are 3 separate cases, as you know. The first case is that I had to move out of my apartment because it had gotten flooded. And Roy was coming over and using the computer every day because we were working on a play together.
So you were writing together?
No, we were working together
What
on
does
a
that
play.
mean?
He was doing the publicity, and at the time, I had a client that was doing the play.
What do you mean you had a client that was doing the play?
I had a client who was the star of the show, of the Dorothy Dandridge show. So he was, and so he didn't have a computer, so he was coming over all the time to use a computer.
So you're in the publicity business?
I was helping him out, yes, working for him at his place of business. And I had
Which
a
was his apartment?
His apartment, right.
That got flooded?
I never heard anything about it getting flooded or saw any evidence of it.
Go ahead.
So John suggested, John is my housemate, decided that we should leave the computer with Roy while we were out of the apartment and they were repairing it.
Okay.
That's the
Apartment
first
got
part
flooded.
of the case.
You had your computer. You left it with him.
Yes.
Okay. Who bought this computer?
Me.
Do you have his computer?
I have the computer he gave me as partial payment for back wages due for work I did at his address, which is also his business, which I worked at for a year and a half, helping him not just do one play, but his entire business. And I have files and evidence of the things I did, some of the things that I did while I was there.
Well, so you say he handed this computer over to you as partial payment for the work?
Yes, he said that he was in the process of brokering a deal to sell a painting by Goya, the artist, that his commission, he was selling it to a Hungarian count, and his commission would be at least $350,000.
Did you tell him that?
Your Honor, I can't talk about that case. That case is being in litigation as we speak.
Well,
yes.
you have to talk about it, sir.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why. Because he says that you gave him this computer but that you were working on a big deal and that hopefully you were going to get your computer back. Is that right?
No, he was going to pay me more money additionally. The computer was partial payment for monies due. And he came over to my house, set it up, and said he'd have more money for me when this went through, this brokering deal, which I don't know anything about how it happened after that.
Had you owed him any money, sir?
No. Not
He was
for
doing
work.
Well, how was he being compensated for doing the publicity
He was
work?
working for the show. He was not working for me. He was working for J.H. Doyle Production, and I have the witness to that effect.
This witness?
This witness.
Would you stand up, please?
Certainly.
Who are you?
I'm Sloan Robinson. And
What
I
do you
was
do?
the actress that was doing the play Yesterday Came Too Soon, the Dorothy Dandridge story. And I know that at that time, Roy came on to our production as a publicist. And I do know that they were working together on that production.
That's one thing I did.
The checks for that were supposed to come through Clarence to Roy.
I never got paid for that either.
And
Just
that
a
is
second. One thing.
From my knowledge, Mr. Cheatham was not responsible for paying Roy's fee.
He's my
That was
agent.
She
the
was the actress.
production
She would have no
company.
knowledge.
The
He's my
production
agent.
company was supposed to be paying his fee.
How do you know that?
That's
Where's the
what I
person
was
from?
told.
You can't tell me what you were told.
Okay.
Sit down.
Okay.
Just a second. Were you doing any other work for him other than on this particular Dorothy Dandridge story
Yes, ma'am.
play?
That play was only 3 months long in its entire gestation to the end of that play. I worked for Clarence for a long time, for I'd say over a year and a half, doing many other projects.
Well, why did you work for him for nothing, sir?
Well, I didn't. He paid me twice out of the amount I gave him. I have some invoices I'd given him also. And both times that he paid me, one time I came to him and told him I wanted some money. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay an electric bill for you. How's that? So he paid the electric bill. The check bounced, of course. And then he did another payment with another fraudulent check that bounced.
I knew.
Just a
he
second.
really hasn't paid
So
me.
the answer is, all this year and a half, he didn't pay you.
Well, that's the Hollywood side of it. He is also my agent. So as my agent, he constantly would tell me, well, Roy, as soon as these deals break, I'll have the money for you. He's a very smooth talker. It's what he does.
Just a second. So you were working for him, but he was also your agent and supposedly working for you.
Yes.
He needed money because Clarence never got him any work as a writer. So Clarence said, well, work for me as well while we're trying to get all this done.
Plus, I had a full-time job all this time.
How do
This
you
was just
expect?
additional
Are you
work.
a writer, sir?
No, I'm not a writer.
Well, what do you do?
I manage some writers, and I arrange funds for various film projects. And I was
When did you give him this computer to keep for you?
It was in March or April or something like that. I don't remember. But I know that what had happened, as I said, the apartment flooded. We had to leave the apartment until they fixed it. And I didn't want to put it in storage. He was working on the play. So therefore, I was trying to be a decent person and just let him keep it. But he said that John owed him money, and that I owed him money. He has never given me any invoices. I've not ever paid. He wasn't working for me. He had a full-time job. How could he work for me?
He has copies of
I
the
work
invoices.
all day.
Clarence, I work for you weekends
have
and
not
after
worked
work
for
all the
me.
time. I was at your house burning the midnight oil.
This accordion file on the floor is a partial bit of the work Roy's
Who are
done
you?
for him.
Just a second. Who are you?
I'm his sister, and we
what do
live
you have?
together.
Are
She's
you
the
in
other
business?
plaintiff.
He's suing
She's the
Giselle.
He's
slander.
suing me for slander.
That's the one
No,
who
just a second.
slandered.
You're his sister. Are you in business with him?
I help him out occasionally, but I'm not technically in business with him, no.
This is getting very complicated. How much time do I have this afternoon?
Not much, Judge.
Do you, you're Mr. Olden?
Oldenkamp, yes.
Oldenkamp. You have a lot of businesses?
I work full-time job in the daytime. And then
What
I
do you
help
do?
them out. In the daytime, I work administrative services at a company in the Valley. That means we help do supply and for an entire building of 200 people.
And you live alone, sir?
I live with Giselle.
We're roommates.
Right.
Fine. Do you have your own computer?
I have my own laptop computer, yes.
Fine. Give him back his computer. That's one. Give him back his computer. That's the way he makes a living. You don't have another computer, do you?
No, I don't.
His laptop is
just a sec.
mine as well.
What?
We both use the laptop.
Good. You can only use it one lap at a time. His computer goes back to him. Now, what's next?
The next is that Giselle.
That's her.
That's her. Call Sloan, who I was working with, who's a business associate, and she will testify. And on the message, Sloan had said, Clarence, you have to listen to this message. I said, I really don't want to listen to it. It wasn't interesting, so she had to finally talk me into listening to it. And I quote exactly to you what Giselle said. It's the most heinous of things that you could ever accuse a human being of. She said, and I'll give you a copy of it, I just want to warn you about Clarence. He had the police come here about 1 o'clock this morning, which is true. I don't know what's wrong with him. He has turned his anger at me and Roy for some reason. You know he was arrested for child molestation last month. He has just lost it. I just want to tell you to watch out for him. Let's have lunch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I am not in fear of this man.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Clarence Cheatham, a Hollywood agent, says his former client, Roy Oldenkamp, did not return his computer, and that Roy's sister, Joselle Celine, slandered him.
Did you leave that message on the machine?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell me first why, and then I'd like you to tell me what proof you have that Mr. Cheatham was in fact arrested on a charge of child molestation?
I called and left that message because Sloan, in addition to being a client of Clarence's, is a friend of mine. She's been to my house, we're friends, and I look out for my girlfriends. I'm afraid of this man now, and I wanted her forewarned.
I'm sorry.
What now? That answers the why.
Right.
Now let's go to the proof. What proof do you have
Clarence
that this man was in fact arrested for anything?
Okay. Clarence called my brother at my home.
This brother?
Yes, he called us to bail him out of jail that night.
She was at the house at the same time when he called.
This is my witness who was also there. They were home working. So Roy put it on speakerphone so he could continue working while Clarence was blethering away. And this is the witness that also heard the conversation of Clarence saying, can you bail me out? I've been picked up on child molestation charges.
From the jailhouse.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is James Shefflin.
James?
James Shefflin.
Mr. Shefflin.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Okay, I manage a rock and roll band, and Roy is stepping up as my publicist. And we do a lot of late evenings. And,
so you were at home in the evening.
I was at his home.
Their home.
Right.
And what happened?
And he got a phone call, and Roy always puts the call on speakerphone.
You mean he picks it up on speakerphone?
I just push speaker.
Push.
You push speakerphone.
So he doesn't have to stop what he's
And
saying.
what did you hear, sir?
I heard that he was calling and asking for help to get out of jail. He said, I need help getting out here. Is there any way you can possibly get me out?
Okay. Mr. Cheatham.
Yes.
Were you, in fact, arrested?
Not for child molestation.
That's not what I asked you, sir.
I'll
No,
tell you
no.
what
Listen to me.
Was I
I'm
arrested?
asking you a question.
Was
Were
I
you, in
arrested?
fact, arrested?
Yes. Nobody bailed me out.
Mr. Cheatham, you were, in fact, arrested?
Yes.
When?
I have April or February or March, something like that. I don't even remember.
Did you, in fact, call Mr. Oldenkamp?
I didn't. Perhaps John called him. I don't remember calling him.
But you could have.
But I could have.
And you could have called him and asked him to come and bail you out.
You don't bail out child molesters.
Oh, you'd be surprised, sir. You'd be surprised. Did you call and ask them to help you?
No. John is my witness to that. No one. I asked no one because I didn't want anyone to even know that I was there. I was arrested on a $250 charge for disorderly conduct, and hey, you spend one night in jail and you're out.
Just let me ask you this question, sir. Was the original charge disorderly conduct?
That was the original charge.
No, the original charge is child molestation.
Just a second.
Who did I molest?
A Hollywood producer's daughter.
Shh. Mr. Oldenkamp.
A 25-year-old
Mr.
woman.
Hey. Tell me the circumstances surrounding your arrest, sir.
The circumstances surrounding my arrest, I went to help a friend move. She said her car wouldn't start. I was standing there to call AAA. The next thing I know, all these white policemen were up on me. There were 10 of them. Because somebody had called and said that we were about to rob, John and I were about to rob them. So, they've called a cab, put us in a cab, and then this cab driver said, well, you guys are probably taking us somewhere to rob me. I just laughed, you know. So and he drove us back, left us at the garage, and as soon as I walked out, they didn't touch John. They arrested me for disturbing the peace. disorderly conduct. I have no idea. I was there for one night. It was a $250 fine that every man in that jailhouse laughed at me. You can't get $250. Every man, I'm in there with dope dealers, pushers, murderers, and everything. And here it is that they're laughing at me. I was the butt of their jokes because I couldn't come up with $250 to get out of jail. It was a $250 fine. You will not, you know, so therefore, never for child molestation. A 25-year-old, you don't molest them. You don't molest
What's
a
a 25-year-old? I
He
don't
said
know who the 25-year-old
he said a Hollywood
is.
producer's daughter. Yeah, that's what he said. He said
Clarence
it was a
told me-
Hollywood
when
producer's
Clarence told
daughter.
me on the phone-
25 years old.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happens? This is the payback that I get. I mean, I hope his bad karma is ending here. I hope people in Hollywood will be warned.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hollywood agent Clarence Cheatham is suing Joselle Celine for slander.
The true text of the conversation as he called us was that, Roy, I'm in jail, I've been arrested. I think he said Van Nuys Police Department. He says, you won't believe it, I was arrested for child molestation. I was drunk, I was at a producer's house. I accidentally grabbed her daughter. Of course, he'd say accidentally. She had a cell phone in her hand, ran in the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. They
Why
came
don't
and
you ask
arrested me
John?
and took me out of the building.
Why don't you ask
This
John?
is what the phone conversation was.
Why don't you ask John?
First of all, Mr. Cheatham, how many times have you been arrested in your life?
One. I was shocked. I was
Okay.
shocked to be arrested that time.
Who are you?
My name is John Taylor. We sit together, and I mean the whole child molesting thing is not.
Well, just a minute. Were you there when he made the phone call to the defendant?
No.
Okay, then you can sit down.
But he was there when I was arrested. He knows why I was arrested.
Just a second.
Did I
Sir.
call Roy? That's the issue
No,
here.
you don't know whether he called him or not.
I couldn't call anybody out of the courthouse because
No,
I didn't know
sir,
how to use the
Mr.
phone.
Cheatham, I want to tell you something. I believe, sir, that you called him. There's no question in my mind that I believe that you called him.
I called him.
I did not call Roy. I don't remember calling him. Perhaps John
No,
might
you
have
don't. You
called
may
him.
not remember calling him, but he knows your voice, sir, as opposed to this gentleman's voice.
Well, I don't think he's telling the truth. They're pulling at straws. They're pulling at straws. Giselle lied and said I was a child molester. That's the issue here, that she slandered me to a business colleague of mine. That is what we have. That's what we have. Has nothing to do with that. This is a
friendship, I think
business
so.
client of mine, and you know it.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you this question, madam. Did you believe the fact that he was a child molester?
No, I did not.
Good. Then we don't have a problem.
There you go.
Because in order for you to prove damages, sir, if she published this
She's no
information...
longer working with me.
Listen to me.
She's no longer working with me as a client, so therefore I've lost income.
No, listen.
Okay.
Mr. Cheatham.
Judy, can I just say something?
Mr. Cheatham. There are two things. I have to make a judgment as to whether the phone call was made and whether I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made by you, Mr. Cheatham. I don't know whether you were drinking that night or not. This is the person with whom you reside. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So I believe the phone call was made. I believe this person, that he overheard that phone conversation, at least part of it. I don't know why, madam, you felt it necessary to transmit that information to anybody else. There must have been some bad blood, but clearly you didn't believe it, correct?
No, we're not
Did you
friends.
believe?
She did that to malign
Did you?
him because I'm his client.
Did you believe that it was true?
No, I did not.
Did you believe that he had been arrested?
Apparently not. That I had no question. I don't know. That's
right.
possible.
That's
but
possible.
as far as him being a child molester, no.
Okay, so you didn't believe it?
No.
Okay, so did you tell anybody else that he was a child molester?
No.
Or that you thought he was arrested for child molestation?
Absolutely.
Did you tell anybody else that?
No.
Okay, so she didn't believe it, so that takes care of that. All right, now I'm going to get to your counterclaim.
I've not been served with such.
You were never served with a counterclaim?
I was never served
You were
with
served by Dan West 2 weeks ago.
I have not ever been served with a cross-complaint. Why would I stand here and lie about that?
Well, I don't know, Clarence. That
Where
sums up the last
would he
half
have
hour.
served me 2 weeks ago?
He served you 2 weeks ago at your abode, wherever
Your
you
Honor,
live.
Well, let me...
I do
just
not
one
have
second.
a counterclaim
Just one
against
second.
me.
I'm
I
gonna
cannot
check
be sued for something that
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
know about.
Listen to me. I'm going to go back and check our court records and see whether or not we are in receipt of a filed counterclaim with proof of service.
Perhaps
Do you
you
understand?
are, but I'm not. And perhaps you are, I'm not. I don't know anything about a counter-complaint because I certainly would have answered it.
Well, Mr. Cheatham, you can either finish this case in court today.
I want to finish it today.
Then you want to let me see what this
Sure.
cross-complaint is about?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I have the papers. Just wait here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a nut. I can't believe that he started this whole ball rolling in the first place. The man is simply a nut.
Order. Quiet, please.
Mr. Roldenkamp,
Yes, ma'am.
the plaintiff could not have been served 2 weeks ago with your counterclaim,
What?
sir, because you only filed your counterclaim 5 days ago.
It was.
So you can't have been served, sir, with your counterclaim before you filed it. Your countersuit is dismissed without prejudice. You can refile it if you wish and serve him.
That's fine.
And within 48 hours, the computer is to be returned to him.
I don't want him near me to pick up that computer. Can
Fine,
I have someone pick it up?
We will make arrangements for the computer to be picked up.
Thank you. I fear for my safety with him.
You certainly should. We're done.
Step out the back to your right.
Shame on you,
please.
Sloan.
Out the back to your right. please.
On the next Judge Judy.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous. You need to stay away from him.
That is defamation of character.
It's reality, darling. It's reality. All that I did for you. This is your payback.
That's who you
That's
should
your
be ashamed of,
payback?
because you're standing there lying and you're implicating
Your
me in
karma,
this.
your karma is
And I
just
don't
in the
have
doghouse.
anything to do with it. All I
Karma
did
is
was
about
repeat
money.
what you-
So, once again, what can I say? I was a fool, but I just hope others will learn and be warned that there are types like this that prey on people that come to Hollywood, plan on making a career out here, and then get suckered in, abused, and used. It's a terrible thing.
Judy Haggerty, a Marine clerk and the mother of 18-year-old Genia Guy, is suing two of Genia's former friends, Raven Alexander and Ebony Hurt, for kicking her Volkswagen door.
All rise. Order in the court. This is case number 108 in the matter of Haggerty versus Hurt Alexander. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat.
Mrs. Haggerty, this is your daughter.
Yes.
What's her name?
Ginia.
Ginia?
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that Ginia used to be friendly with these two gals right here.
Yes.
And that they had some sort of a falling out. And they had a fight, which I assume they'll tell me about. And these two young ladies damaged your car.
Right.
You admit you damaged her car. You kicked it, correct?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. Try yes.
Yes.
But that you have an excuse as to why you're not responsible for the payments.
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a minute. Ginia, step up here. You were driving your mother's car?
Yes.
What kind of car is it?
It's a VW bug.
What year?
71.
Were you friendly with both of these young ladies?
Yes.
You had a falling out about something?
Yes.
What?
Basically, it was she said this about
Who's
me.
she?
I was so called to say something about Raven. I was to say something about Raven.
Who's Raven?
I am.
So she was told that you said something bad about her.
She was so-called on the phone at this time. She heard that I said all these things about her when she was on the phone. I was on three-way. We're on three-way. I didn't know we were on three-way.
How old are you?
18.
How old are you?
18.
And you?
17.
All right. So then you decided to try to straighten it out with them?
Yes.
What did you do?
I decided that I was going to go over there and talk to Raven. It was said that I was to go over there and fight Raven, but I say I was over there to talk to Raven. I had on a dress and some sandals. They had on sweats, T-shirts, and...
Slower.
Okay.
You had...
I had on a dress and some sandals. They had on sweats and T-shirts and, like, scarves on their hair, like, ready to get down. I was not...
Ready to get... Listen, in
sorry.
English, please.
They were
I know it is. But you know, I want them to try. I
I'm
want this
sorry.
young lady who looks like a nice young lady to know that if she wants to live in an adult community, she's got to talk English.
Well,
Get
we were
down
ready-
is
get
not
down,
something.
Okay, I'm sorry. To fight, okay. And I was not over there to fight. They hit me. They do what they have to do. I'm sorry. They hit me. Words were exchanged. Okay.
Very good.
And I get in my car. Words were exchanged when I was getting in my car, and then as I pulled off, they kicked my car in, my panel and the door, my driver's door of the car.
And you got estimates to fix it?
Yes. She called me, I was at work that night. She called me, she was crying, she was all upset. She was saying she went over to Raven's house, and I told her, you should have stayed at home, okay? Because see, I've known Raven for a long, long time. Raven used to go on outings with us. We used to do things with Raven. So I've known it. So for her and Jenya to be fighting, to me, was stupid, very much so. And I was upset with she and Raven. So I went to Raven's mother's job and told Yvonne about the incident and what had happened. And I told her I wanted all of us, Jenya, Raven, her, and I, to sit down and talk. A lot of things came out about she said this and she said that. And I was saying, who cares? Who cares who said this? If you don't like her and she don't like you, just stay away from each other. This one is not my friend. That one is not my friend. Okay. So then I said, what did Ebony have to do with it? This is what I wanted to know. And Raven said at that time, she says, I can't tell Ebony what to do and what not to do.
Well, why did you get involved with this, Ebony?
No, because this is what happened. When she called Raven's house, she spoke to me on the phone. She was like, well, whatever she said something like to the fact, well, do y'all want to see a fair one with me? So I had Raven, so she was like, well, put Raven on the phone. So I give Raven the phone. Raven was like, I don't have time for that. So she hung the phone up. The phone rang again. I answered it. She was like, oh, why y'all bitches hang up? So I said, so she said, after that happened, she said, well, I'm on my way. I said, if you come up, I told her before she came over there, if you come over here, you're going to get beat up, basically.
It had nothing to do with you. Why did you tell her if she came over she was going to get beat up? What did it have to do with you?
Yes, it did, because when she called over there, she spoke to me on the phone. She talking all this to me. That's why when she asked to speak to Raven, I had Raven the phone.
Just a second. I never heard of young ladies who fight with each other like this. What is this? Come over and fight and get down, and I don't understand this.
She knew what was going on. She knew how me and Raven are. She knew the situation.
You mean because Raven is your friend, you decided?
No, it's not because Raven is my friend.
But you had nothing to do with this argument.
Yes, I did, but other situations happened before this day actually came.
Right. Now, who kicked the car?
We both did.
Fine, so you have to pay for it. Now, you have a reason why you think you don't have to pay for the car. Now I'm ready to hear it. Right. Raven, you first. You want to tell me why you don't think you have to pay for this car?
Okay.
For the damage?
First of all, Gigi knows how I am. She knows if I don't want to be bothered, don't bother me. She called my house, and she was like, I'm coming over to get a fair one. So I'm like, fine. There's no way I'm about to change into clothes and everything like that if I don't think I'm finna fight. So then she came over there, and when she's driving up the car, she was like, I'm ready, like that. She got out the car, and I was like, nobody's gonna come over my house and disrespect my house and my property. So we fought, okay? The fight was over. So finally she get in her car, and she was like, yeah, it ain't over there, it ain't over there, just cussing me out or whatever like that. So then she threw something out the car. Oh, and then she wanna drive off, so instead of driving off, I couldn't get to her, so car was the next best thing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your attitude, madam, is what's going to land you in trouble probably for the rest of your adult life unless you decide to take an attitude pill.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Genia Guy says her two former friends, Raven Alexander, 18, and Ebony Hurt, 17, kicked and punched her and kicked in the doors of her mother's car.
I've read your answer. And according to your answer, and yours too, neither one of you waited for her to throw the first punch. Let me read you a little about what you said. Okay? You said she got out of the car, this is what you say, and started walking up to Raven according to you, ready to fight. So Raven hit her twice. I love this. Huh? There's nothing wrong with this.
I mean, it's nothing wrong. If she can't, she called, so why wait till somebody hit the first, take the first punch?
So you hit her twice. Then she walked around Raven and ran up to me. So I threw her to the ground.
Yep.
Then she got into her car. So far, she didn't hit anybody. She got into her car and, according to you, was going off at the mouth. And you weren't going to let anybody get away with that, so you kicked her car. So is that the reason why you don't think that you're responsible for paying for her mother's car?
She threw something out the car. That's why her car was kicked.
So she trying to hit me. She gonna get hit in return. She's supposed to be responsible for her own
Let me have the estimates on the car, madam.
Ridiculous.
And what is that piece of paper that you have behind you?
This didn't end it.
What?
This did not end the situation. When I got home one evening, a neighbor of mine had called me while I was at work that night. And this was on my front door with a knife in it.
Nice touch.
Okay.
Nice touch.
Well,
also,
that don't have nothing to do with me. That don't have nothing to do with the car.
That don't have nothing to do with me.
I didn't get any of these things until after this incident. At the school, one of the teachers had this and was saving it because somebody had put it in her mailbox for her. They went to all this trouble to make a replica of her car, showing how they had kicked it, dented it. Then they had the nerve to put a bullet in it. Okay?
I don't have time to be doing
You
all
know
that.
Okay, really though.
That
don't have nothing to do with
I wanted
me.
to also ask for mental anguish of what I, as a mother, have gone through with this. I have gone through so much stress and strain around this whole incident.
Yeah, and she harassed my mom
that's
on
not
her
her
job.
fault. That's not her fault. Whatever happened
You know
to
what?
that's y'all.
Miss Haggerty, listen to me.
That's y'all business.
And
Y'all
you
do
harassing
that.
my mom on her
Whatever,
job.
y'all, that's y'all business. Y'all have to take that. That's another case somewhere else. You call somebody else. Gigi, she's a lot of people who don't like her. It's a lot of people that don't like her.
Put her outside until she's quiet.
Step out, please.
Put her outside until she's
Step out.
quiet.
Later on Judge Judy.
That she was only out for personal gain because once she found a man, I was out the door.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Haggerty.
Yes?
They had absolutely no business to damage your car. There's no question about that. They both acknowledged they damaged your car. Your daughter did not do a smart thing.
No, she did not.
She placed herself at risk going over there. She knew that there were two girls over there. She was one person going over there. I can't imagine that she would go over there to fight with two girls, knowing that she was only one person.
That was just a stupid mistake of hers for coming over there. She, you know...
Be quiet. You already got yourself in enough trouble. What's your name?
Sherry.
What's your last name?
Trotter.
Trotter?
Yes.
Miss Trotter, I don't know if you've had any other difficulty with your daughter, but your daughter's got an attitude, and unless she does something about straightening herself out, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get a lot of pleasure out of her as an adult. I'm telling you. She has an attitude that she can't even mask when she's in a courtroom. So I would suggest that you have a long talk with her, unless what you want to do is have a lifetime of grief from your daughter.
My attitude has nothing to do with this case.
Your attitude, madam, is what's going to land you in trouble probably for the rest of your adult life unless you decide to take an attitude pill.
Okay,
in any event, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $878.70, which is the cheapest of the three estimates that I got. That's all.
Excuse you, may step out. Step out, please.
Because
she brought her stupid over there, and that's exactly what she gets.
Well, when you deal
I'm
with
happy
ignorant
the
people, ignorant things end up happening, so it doesn't make a difference.
Everything is fine. Everything is there.
Parties on Albert versus Bonds. Step forward, please.
24-year-old student Sherry Albert says her friend Tracy Bonds owes her $150 for an entertainment center. Tracy says Sherry ate her ice cream.
All right, you're two old friends. You got divorced, you had a child, you moved in with a defendant who was an old friend of yours. You had a fight, according to your papers, over a half gallon of ice cream. Now, you don't explain that to me, but I will tell you, my curiosity got to me. I said, how could a half-gallon of ice cream come between two people who had been such good friends? So first tell me how that happened.
Well, it wasn't exactly the ice cream. That was just one factor that the defendant used in order to start an argument with me. Actually, what it was that she had a new boyfriend who she wanted to move in with her. Therefore, she felt as though she would start different arguments with me in order to push me out of the apartment.
So you think the ice cream was just a ruse?
Right. That was only one thing that she did.
Well, but tell me about the ice cream anyway, because I'm dying to know.
What it was is that previously I had put $150 worth of groceries into the apartment, and our agreement in the 3 apartments that we've shared together was that the food is everyone's. I have a 2-year-old, she has a 3-year-old. We give to all of our kids alike. Therefore, she bought some Breyer's ice cream. And I was a bit depressed regarding my divorce, and I was just really having a bad time. And me, I ate the ice cream. It's like the thing that soothes me, and I felt worse about it than anyone else because I was the one who was going to have to go exercise it off. So the next morning, she wakes up slamming things and whatnot and says, well, Sherry, you need to replace my Breyer's ice cream. And I'm like, I will not. I just put $150 worth of groceries in here. We share. What is this going on?
Is that what it was about?
This particular time, I made a homemade apple pie, and I went and brought the Breyer's ice cream. And I made the pie, and I put it in the oven, and I cooked it, and then I had to go to work the next day.
And you went to
and
have
the
the
ice cream
pie.
was there, and I come home from work the next day. The pie was untouched. The ice cream was gone.
Now look at the two of you smiling. Look at each other and smile. Look
I
at
still
listen,
love
listen.
her, Judge, but you know, sometimes we.
But look at her and tell her that.
I love you, Sherry, but you know, I understand that sometimes we just don't get along. But I do believe that you should have replaced the ice cream. I left a note. I asked her to replace the ice cream. I left a kind note. I said, could you please replace the Breyer's ice cream?
This case is not about Breyer's ice cream.
That's
This case is
right.
about an entertainment center. All right, so let's get to that. Now I figured out what the ice cream was about. You had an entertainment center. You were moving out. You said you left the entertainment center at the house because she was going to buy it from you. Correct?
Right.
For $150?
Right.
She hasn't given you the $150? You want the entertainment center. Is that what this case is about?
That and also my son's hobby horse, which she won't turn over to me either.
She says you can have the hobby horse.
She can have it. That's her son. I love her son. She can have it.
Hobby horse is yours. She indicated that in her answer. Okay. Did you say you would buy the entertainment center?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Why would she leave it there if you didn't leave on good terms?
Because she didn't want anything reminding her of her husband. Her and her husband were separated. She said she didn't want anything reminding her of her husband.
Why did you leave it there?
The reason why I left it there is because me and Tracy Bonds made a verbal agreement that she would pay me $150 for that entertainment center. I have a witness who knows this also.
How does she know it, the witness?
Because she was also a mutual friend of me and Tracy Bonds. As a matter of fact, I know her
Is that
through
you?
Tracy Bonds.
Step up, please. Did you hear Miss Bonds make this agreement to pay $150?
Yes, I did.
Where were you when you heard this
In the
conversation?
apartment. Tracy was talking to Sherry on the phone. She was going to withhold the $150 because her ex-husband had put a hole in the wall, and she had went to Michael Chan, their landlord, and got an estimate for the hole.
Your ex-husband punched a hole in the wall.
He threw an iron and hit the wall.
Well, why is she responsible for that?
Because she said that she would pay for it when she moved. When I asked her about the hole in the door, I was not there at the time. I asked her about the hole, and she said that her husband had put it there and that she'd pay for it.
Did you tell her you would pay for it?
I said that I would get the money from my ex-husband to pay it.
According to these papers, fixing the hole was $60, and she owed another $20 to the landlord for a late fee. That's $80. Where's your $80?
I tried to give it to her.
Where is it now?
In my bank account.
Good, you're going to give that to her. $80 to her. That takes care of her debt to you. Now, she wants back this entertainment center. You say it was just a gift. She didn't want anything to remind her of her ex-husband. This child that you have is the child of this ex-husband?
Yes, it is.
Believe me, she's got plenty to remember the ex-husband by.
Tell her.
Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did your husband leave you? Because you're crazy. That's why.
You lost
Your
your mind. My husband wants me today.
Want to give her back the entertainment
She can
center?
have it back, but ma'am,
Wonderful.
she does need to know that she can't, you know, give somebody something and think that she's going to give it back by bringing the police and force and entry into somebody's house.
When are you going to make this exchange?
She may come by Saturday.
What time?
And I can't come Saturday. My son has to go to a birthday party.
Oh, what's important?
Well, just a second. Oh, that's
My
important.
son's birthday
Just
party.
a second.
Okay.
What time is the birthday party?
It's about 2, so in the morning would be okay.
Would the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, be okay?
No, that's not okay. She has to come in the She needs to come in the afternoon.
What time's the birthday party over?
I figure I should be home by at least about 5:30 or 6.
Fine. Can she come at 6?
Yes.
Good. 6 o'clock on Saturday. You pick up the Hobby Horse, Entertainment Center, check for $80. That's all.
Party's are excused. You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
This is pure stupidity and
No, these are
selfish.
facts.
This is narcissistic behavior right here. That's
Oh, you learned a new vocabulary word.
Well, isn't that nice? Why did your husband leave you? Because you're crazy. That's why.
Do you have a man? Have you ever had a husband? Did you marry your baby's father?
You know
No.
what? No, you know what? The reason why is because I don't want to go through what you've gone through. That's
Okay,
why.
well,
Because
anyway.
I'm smart enough to not get caught up with a husband.
Oh, so why
a
do you have
crazy
to bring
husband.
foul language into it?
Because you're stupid. That's all.
Okay, learn a new vocabulary word for stupid.
She's a crazy.
Oh, now I'm gonna sue you for using foul language.
Step forward, please.
38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Lucio versus Cole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Lucio, is this your husband?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? And you are Dr. Cole.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucio, you are suing Dr. Cole because you say that he performed a breast augmentation procedure for you and you were not satisfied with the result.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I gather from your complaint that this was not the first time that you had had a breast augmentation procedure.
That's correct.
When was the first time that you had the procedure done?
It was in 1992.
What happened with that procedure?
It was fine.
So why are you doing it again?
For larger breasts.
Why?
It's what I wanted.
If you had the procedure done in 1992 and you said it was fine, what changed in the last 4 or 5 years?
I just thought that I would prefer larger breasts. I had breastfed my children, and I was at a certain size. And with age, my figure had changed, and that I wanted it more in proportion.
And are you telling me that you were totally satisfied with the procedure that was done in 1992?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure. Didn't you tell me in your complaint that your breast size was different? One was heavier than the other?
That was before any surgery.
And after the 1992 surgery, both breasts were exactly the same?
Pretty much. It was from a different doctor.
I know it was from a different doctor. What do you mean, pretty much?
It was to my satisfaction, yes.
Okay. And then you consulted Dr. Cole.
That's correct.
Why didn't you go back to the doctor that you consulted in 1992 and who did the surgery in 1992?
He had moved.
Okay. Moved to another city, another...
I just couldn't find him. He had moved.
He had moved from an area he wasn't, I couldn't find him. I couldn't locate him.
Did you try?
I had went to him when I had a problem with some pain, and I had went back to his office, and they were doing some remodeling around that area. And so, and also I had had a girlfriend that gave me some information on Dr. Cole, and I had seen his work on some lip surgery that he had done for her, and I just thought I'd try another doctor.
Okay. So he came well recommended to you?
He came recommended for a different type of surgery.
So why did you decide to use him for breast surgery?
I went and had a consultation with him. I listened to what he had to say, and I just thought I would use him.
How much was he going to charge you for the surgery?
He was going to charge me originally $3,600.
And ultimately?
The $75 consultation fee, and then I also paid, the total was $3,200 with the surgical center was $800, which brought a total of $4,000.
How much did you pay for the first surgery?
I don't recall, not the total.
Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with her at the time.
Oh.
I wasn't married to her at the time, Your Honor.
When did the two of you get married?
In '95.
But you have children from a prior marriage, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You have no children together?
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, so stand up here. You fell in love with her the way she was, right?
Yes.
Did you encourage her to have this second surgical procedure?
No, I did not.
Did you try to discourage her?
Yes, I did.
My kind of man. You said, I love you the way you are, honey, don't do it.
Yes, I did.
Probably should have listened to him. How long do you stay in the hospital when you have this surgical procedure?
2 hours.
And how long is the discomfort period afterwards?
It's for about a week.
Or more?
Or more.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it's for ever since it's happened. She's not able to even look at herself in the mirror. I have to deal with that.
Well, I don't quite understand, because according to the complaint, your complaint against Dr. Cole is that your breasts are a different size.
Correct, they're uneven.
Uneven.
We paid the money that we paid for them to be even. They were even the
I
first
wouldn't
time.
listen to me. At my age, I don't look so closely anymore. Even, uneven, I'm just happy that I have them, that's it.
Well, Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
The first time she had it done, they were even. They were balanced out. We informed Dr. Cole, and we gave him the procedure that had been done the first time and explained to him that they were uneven and that the first doctor had compensated for the fact that they were uneven. He explained to us that he understood and that he would make the proper adjustment to make them come out even, which he did not.
Dr. Cole, I'll hear you, sir.
When the couple came to me, the chief complaint here was that they did not like the first surgeon's work at all. She complains, and I have pictures to show, that the nipples pointed towards the axilla or the armpits bilaterally.
Did you complain about that?
No, he showed that to me, but I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't noticed it?
I mean, it was the way I was.
Go ahead.
She had a large retraction pocket with a muscle pulling in on the right side particularly. The breasts weren't round or smooth. They were irregularly shaped where the type of implants that were placed were adhesed to the capsules.
I don't understand all that. Does that mean they didn't look nice?
They didn't look nice.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, I'm certainly prepared to do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Cole denies he did anything wrong when he performed breast enlargement surgery on Sandra Lucio. Sandra says Dr. Cole botched the procedure.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The chief complaint they had at that time was the shape. They did not like the shape of the breast. They didn't think it was normal or natural, and there was a lot of discomfort, particularly on the right side. The second
Well,
thing...
you said that you had gone back to the other doctor because you'd had some discomfort.
I had pulled a muscle.
Just a second. Look at me. Did you complain that you had discomfort to Dr. Cole?
That I had no.
Discomfort?
No, he's not the one that I went back to. I went back to the original one.
I know that. When you went to see Dr. Cole, did you tell him that you had discomfort?
I had pain.
Pain. All right. You told him that you had pain on one side of your breast?
No, I had pain from the incisions, not pain from...
What difference does it make whether it's pain from the incision from the surgery or pain from the implant? It's the same thing. You had pain in your breast, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The second thing they said was they'd like to have the breast enlarged if possible. The third thing I garnished not from them, but from the records they had given me from the first surgery, that there was some inequality between the breast sizes. The doctor had estimated that the difference between the two breasts was around 25 cc's difference, which is less than 2 tablespoons. But I said, if that's the third thing in terms of your interest, I will try to get that as close as possible. When I did the surgical procedure, I had a difficult time getting the capsules, the shape of the breasts, and I spent most of my time working on that so they'd be round and smooth, the nipples would point forward. The second amount of time I tried to do was to get the implant of largest size that I could in. And I explained this to Lucio's time and time again, that I could only get the size implant in that I could get in. I could not get more stuff in the area if it would not go. And I fill the implants till they're completely full and as much size as... I do not have any prior conceived notion about implant size. They cost the same to me. There's no more problem getting them in if they're bigger. I had no axe to grind as far as I put the largest ones that would fit in her body safely and still be able to close the muscle tissue. I did that, and by the time I got the implants filled, I could not take some out of one side to make them even because it would have made one implant grossly smaller than the other. And I explained this to him, that I had done the best I could to get best shape, the most size I could out of them, and that's what my aims were. She had on one side, just for numbers, 300 cc's before I started, and I ended up with 430. That's over a third larger than what she started off with. On the other side, again, I put 430 cc's.
Do you have photographs for me?
I have preoperative photographs.
And I'd like to see the postoperative photographs.
I don't have any post-op. She did not come back from the post-op.
some photographs.
Well, I'd like to take a look at...
Sir, stay right there.
Okay. Can I see the postoperative photographs, please?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When we went to Dr. Cole informed us that he was able to put 400, the bag size, 400 cc's in her breasts and enlarge them to anywhere between, one side would be 450 to 460, the other side would be 490 to almost 500. When the doctor did the surgery, the only reason we even found out that he didn't put the right size in was because we asked for a copy of his report from his secretary. His secretary gave us a copy of the report. My wife was just devastated because he had not put the size that he indicated to us. We immediately went back into his office and said, you didn't put the right size. He said, well, they no longer make that size.
Mr. Lucio.
Yes.
I can't use these photographs because these photographs don't show me anything. You showed me photographs, and your wife is wearing a brassiere.
Well, she was embarrassed to show you them without, Your Honor.
Well, then, that's not proof, sir. I need proof.
That shows you that I can't wear a bra.
No, it doesn't, madam, because I can, any woman can put on a bra, and unless she puts both sides in the same way, she can manipulate one side so one side looks one way and one side looks the other way. I have one set of photographs with the way you look preoperative, and I don't have anything here. You understand that, Mr. Lucio? I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Well, we have a report, I'm sorry, from another doctor, Dr. Villicana. Wait, no, but it's, if I may, just, Your Honor, it's just a...
Evaluation and the cost of what it would be to correct the surgery.
I'm not going to read a report from another doctor. If you want to show me another doctor's bill, a bill I will certainly look at, but I will not accept another doctor's statement in lieu of the doctor's testimony.
We were charged for this doctor's report so that he could also, you know, show you that there is a difference. Just by
He says there's a difference. Madam, he says that there's a difference.
This is a drastic difference. I cannot wear a bra that's a normal size. One size fits and the other one does not. I would show you, you're a woman, you would just by looking at me. I can't wear a bathing suit. I can't wear anything that
Have
is
you been back to
size.
Dr. Cole?
We talked to Dr. Cole. The
Have
way
you
he told me is that every woman is basically odd-sized. You're not born even. And he said that there wasn't much difference. To me, there is a difference. Eventually, after talking to him, then he said, okay, I agree. He would go in and reopen the valve. When we spoke to
When
the
he
other
said
doctor,
reopen the valve, he meant reopen the valve and take some out from one side?
No, he was going to put some more in.
Madam, I don't understand you. You know, I'm looking at the procedure, the preoperative procedure, the preoperative photographs. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world an apparently intelligent woman would want to have her breasts enlarged any larger than these are.
You make intelligent choices. I made an intelligent choice. You may not agree, but it was my choice.
It was your choice. It was your choice, and what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 surgeries on your breast. You know, there were women out there, Miss Lucio, who would love to just have breasts that didn't give them any trouble. 2 natural, nice breasts that didn't cause them any grief. You have children. You got a nice husband who said to you, dear, I love you just the way you are. Don't do anything. You're going to have surgery now 3 times in order to...
Well, if he would have done it properly, I would have only had the 2. I would have been satisfied with what I wanted, what I asked for.
Miss Lucio, I can't tell from your photographs the extent of the difference. So if you want to come back into chambers with me, and you want to show me what your breasts look like, and I am not an expert, so I'm just a lay person looking at you and seeing whether there's such an aberration, so that there is such negligence on the part of the doctor so that I should award you $5,000. I'm certainly prepared to do that. Is that what you want to do?
That's fine.
Let's go.
Step over this way, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Dr. Cole, I must tell you that when we were in the back, I had no conversation with Mrs. Lucio with regard to this case. She was very upset. She still seems to be very upset, and what I was trying to do was to calm her a little bit and to tell her that if she wasn't prepared to proceed with this matter today, I was prepared to adjourn it unless she could compose herself. But we did not discuss the case because I know you were not with me. You might have felt certain misgivings. Do you understand?
I have no misgivings, Your Honor.
Good. Ms. Lucio, I want you to look at me. I'm jealous. I say that in the hope to get a smile on your face, madam. I will tell you that what I viewed back there was a hell of a lot better than the photographs, the preoperative photographs that were furnished to me by Dr. Cole. And quite frankly, Mr. Lucio, I think you are exaggerating to a tremendous extent. What you said was a vast difference in the size of your wife's breasts. I certainly did not see it. I saw a breast enlargement that clearly was larger than what she had. The shape was much better than what she had. And whatever difference in size was de minimis to my naked, untrained eye. And I tell you, Miss Lucio, right now that I believe that if you're prepared to put yourself through another surgical procedure, then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts. And that you would be very wise to address what it is that's really motivating you to do this, to cut yourself up every couple of years in the quest to have the perfect breast. You are the mother of, you told me in the back, 3 children, right? You've got a husband who seems like a nice guy who says, I like you just the way you are. What I saw back there was, to me, it's as close to perfect as you could want. And yet you're not satisfied, so there's something else there. And I suggest that it may need a different kind of doctor to address what would motivate someone like you, who has 3 healthy kids, doesn't have breast cancer, thank God, doesn't have anything wrong with themselves, to put you through 3 surgeries because you see that one breast is slightly smaller than the other. Insane. And for you to encourage her in that regard, sir, is wrong. You know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I understand.
I know you understand. You seem like an intelligent man. Don't encourage her. There's something else there in your wife's head that she's unhappy with. And if this is the vehicle that she's using in order to satisfy that, it's destructive. Dr. Cole, I don't think you made any errors when you did the surgical procedure on the plaintiff. I'm dismissing her lawsuit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think she saw that they were uneven. To her, something small and minute. You know, I just think that if any woman was thinking about having it done with Dr. Cole, his code of ethics is very poor.
No, I've been doing this 21 years. I never had anybody write me to court over this. Well, I feel very sorry that I couldn't make the Lucios happier, and that's about all I have to say.
The judge obviously is out of touch with reality, and it's her courtroom. She's my wife, and I love her.
Services. Kathy says when Rana didn't come home, she had no choice but to drop the kids off at a police station. Rana was furious that Kathy would do such a thing and refused to pay her.
Order, all rise. Now, this is case number 175 on the calendar in the matter of Burgess versus Rojas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat. Have a seat.
And Ms. Burgess, your complaint alleges that you babysat for the defendant's 2 children. You had an agreement with her that she was to pay you $125 for babysitting for her children from when to when?
Well, she actually said $100 and $25 for food, and it was from Friday night at 8 o'clock until 8 o'clock the next day, and that she would pick up her
8 p.m.
kids.
the next day?
Right.
So for a 24-hour period?
Right.
And had you babysat for her children before?
Absolutely.
And had been paid?
No, I had not been paid. I babysitted one night when her little girl was out crying that her mom was on drugs. I did that as a charity cause, you know, just to be a good person. I did it a second time. She had claimed that I babysitted her for a few hours. She had claimed that her mother was alongside the roadside and it was an emergency and she had to go that time. She offered to pay me that time. I didn't take it. Later on, my son said that she was all dressed up to go out for the evening, and
so you had taken care of her children before on a few occasions, but had not been paid?
That's right.
But on this occasion, you were going to be paid. Why?
Right. Because it was going to be a long time, and because I had other plans. We had other things to do. It was going to be for a long period of time.
When did she contact you about these plans for Friday to Saturday?
It was approximately 30 minutes before 8 o'clock.
On Friday night?
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, where were you going?
I was going to Fontana, California.
For what?
To take care of some business, to look for some trucks, some 10-wheeler trucks. My mom was originally supposed to babysit. An hour before I got ready to go, she reneged and she said that she wasn't feeling well, that she could not do it. So that's when I called Kathy. I called Kathy at about 7:30 that evening. I asked Kathy, would she be able to babysit for me? She asked me, how much would I pay her? I told her I'd be gone until 8 o'clock, probably somewhere around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock that Saturday evening. Kathy asked me, could I pay her up front all of the monies? I told her no. I said, I'll give you half now and half upon my return.
So did you give her half?
Yes, I did. I
How
gave
much
her the
did you-
$50.
Is that correct?
She gave me $50. But
Okay.
she also said that she was going to give me $25 for the food.
Okay, assuming that's correct. Assuming that she said she was going to give you $25 for the food for 24 hours that you were going to watch her 2 children. She gave you $50. So that means she owed you $75. Is that correct?
Right.
Well, she didn't come
She's
back.
not being honest.
Just a second. Assuming that that's correct.
Yeah.
I haven't said it's correct, but assuming that's correct, that means that at this point, if she came home at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, you would have gotten another $75, correct?
Right.
What happened at 8 o'clock on Saturday night?
Well, there was no call, and I waited up all night for her, and I paged her several times at long distance. She never called. When in the morning, when I finally spoke to her, she said her pager was off. And then, and on and on and on. I mean, you know, my kids know too.
On and on and on. I mean, your complaint goes on for a long period of time. You left your children with a neighbor for 24 hours, and then you don't show up.
Okay, what happened, the deal was, I told Kathy that I would be returning that Saturday evening. I told her, however, if I did return too late, that I would not disturb them and wake them up. I said I would not disturb them and wake them up, but I called.
Why didn't you come back for your... Look at me. Why didn't you come back for your children when you were supposed to?
Because we were driving, and I didn't want my
Who was driving?
My boyfriend. He was driving, and I didn't want him driving. That time of night, he had had no sleep, and I didn't want him driving from that evening until that morning. I didn't feel safe. When I spoke with Kathy, I did call. Brittany said that you sat there and listened to me. It would not pick up the phone.
It's not true at all.
Just a second. I mean, quite frankly, I've read I've read your complaint and I've read your answer. I find both of your actions absolutely outrageous. Yours and hers. Because what you did when she didn't come back is you took her children to the police station. That's an outrageous thing to do. Ms.
That's
Burgess,
right. 24 hours after, and I had other things to do.
No, just a second. Whether you had other things to do or not, compassion for her
She abandoned her children.
Listen to me.
And I had compassion. I was crying and everything. I had compassion. I felt really bad. Her child was out of control. She had slammed my son in the back. He has rollerblades in the back of his thing.
Miss Burgess, did you call? You had her mother's number.
Hey.
I
had not her mother's number.
Just a second.
Her daughter did.
Fine. If her daughter had her grandmother's telephone number, and if things had gotten that kind of out of control...
We called on Sunday to come get her.
Hey. Why didn't you just let her call her grandmother, you get on the phone and say, I cannot. It's Sunday morning. I have plans. The kids are not getting along because according to your complaint, all the kids were not getting along well.
That's what we did.
That's
hey,
what I didn't understand.
Just a second. I'm not finished with you yet. Because you put your boyfriend over your children. So I'm not finished with you yet.
I put my safety over
you
my
put
children.
your boyfriend over your children.
That's exactly right.
Everybody puts themselves over children. Children are the innocents. They didn't ask to have a mother who goes traipsing off for 2 days, leaves her children with a stranger to go looking for a 10-wheeler truck.
They've been knowing Kathy for 8 months. She's not a stranger. Her children are at my house on a daily basis.
I wouldn't leave my children with somebody that I knew for 8 months for a weekend.
Her children are at my house every day.
So what?
They come stay with me for hours while she goes shopping. I've never charged Kathy for babysitting.
That's not true.
Oh, Kathy, please.
Miss Rojas.
Kathy, tell the truth.
Listen to me. I'm going to throw you both out of here in 2 seconds because you both deserve each other. You did the wrong thing by taking the children to the police station. You had an alternative. Your alternative was to call the grandmother and say, if you do not... Don't interrupt me. If you do not come to pick up your grandchildren, I'm taking them to the police station.
I did that.
Oh, yeah? You, just a second.
In the morning, I did that, and I called the police officer.
No,
and I said,
I'm not asking you police. Don't dance around it. You called and spoke to the grandmother.
She never called back. We said, come get your kids. She never called back.
No, I didn't say come get your kids.
You know, you could have called me.
Miss Rojas,
she had 2 mobile phone numbers.
Could never get through.
You tell me.
I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to throw her out in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I told you, when I ask you a question, you'll answer it.
Okay.
This is a courtroom.
Okay.
Good. You did not call the children's grandmother and say to them, I am not...
my phone call. Never returned the phone
No,
call.
I don't believe you, Miss Burgess.
I
don't
swear
believe,
that we did
I do
that.
not believe that you called the grandmother and left a message either on her machine or speaking to somebody at the house. Not her, you!
I did also. And you know, I did
just
have
a second.
compassion.
You did what? I want you to look at me and tell me what you did Sunday morning with her grandmother.
We called the grandmother.
Not we.
I
You.
didn't have the grandmother's number, first of all.
But
we
she
had her
did.
call it, and then I called the grandmother. She never came. And I had compassion. I was crying when I took the little girl there.
You're a liar.
You can say
You're a
that.
liar.
You
are.
can say
That's
that.
just why you came here with that red dress on looking like Satan.
Throw her out of the courtroom.
Out. Step out, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I feel sorry for your children. You are clearly an unfit custodian for your children. It's just too
I don't
bad that they
believe
don't have alternatives.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Burgess wants to be paid for babysitting Rana Rojas's children. Rana says she won't pay the bill because Kathy dropped her kids off at a police station when she was late getting home.
Bert, is she ready to come back into the courtroom?
Yes, Judge.
Good. Now, just answer my questions. You said you had this little girl call her grandmother. Is that right?
And I called too.
Could you step up here for me? Right up here. Right up here. Tell me your name.
Brittany,
How old are you, Brittany?
9 years old.
Okay. You know about telling the truth?
Yes,
You know how important it is to tell the truth in court?
yes,
So if I ask you some questions, you sure you're going to tell me the truth?
yes,
Brittany, you remember staying with Miss Rojas?
yes,
Do you remember when your mom left?
yes.
Can you tell me what your mom told you when she left?
My mother told me that.
Look at me.
She told me that she would be back Saturday evening, and she said if she didn't, she would call.
Do you know where she was going?
Yes.
Where was she going?
She was going to Fontana, I believe,
For what?
for looking for a truck with her boyfriend.
Do you know why you weren't staying with your grandma?
Because my grandma had denied it.
Had said no,
Yes,
that she wasn't going to babysit.
yes,
Do you spend a lot of time with your grandma?
yes,
And you know her phone number?
yes.
Did you call her on Sunday?
Yes, but she was not home. She was probably either sleeping or at work.
So you didn't reach her when you tried. Do you know if Miss Burgess tried to call her on Sunday?
No.
So nobody else tried to call her all day Sunday?
No.
And how many times had you tried to call her?
I tried to call her twice.
And there was no answer?
No.
What time did you try to call
I
Grandma?
called her at 11:45,
Mm-hmm.
between 11 and 12.
What time did you get up Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, I got up at 10:30 p.m.
10:30 a.m. So you were up late Saturday night?
Yeah.
How late were you up?
Up until 12:30.
What were you doing so late?
We were playing, and we were, like, watching TV.
Any problems in the house while you were there? Were you fighting with those two kids over there?
No, we weren't.
Has your mom ever left to go away on weekends before with her boyfriend?
Once.
You like this boyfriend of your mother's?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
sort of.
How long has she had this boyfriend?
For about 7 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Does he ever stay at your house?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're a nice little girl.
Thank you.
Smart. You do well in school?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Good. Looks to me like you do well in school. How'd you feel when you went to the police station?
I felt scared, and I felt like Kathy didn't want us anymore, and Kathy didn't like us.
Before you went to the police station, did you try to call Grandma again?
Yes.
What happened?
She had answered, but she had said, I can't come and pick you up because she was cooking, and she had to go to the doctor.
Who spoke to her?
Me.
Did Kathy speak to her at all?
Yes. Kathy had said that she didn't need my grandmother.
Who did she say that to?
My grandmother.
When did she say that?
She said that right before when we went to the police station.
Okay, go and sit down. Now, Miss Burgess, when you spoke to the children's grandmother right before you took them to the police station, did you tell her that you were planning to take the children to the police station?
I did not speak to the grandmother before I took them to this. I spoke in the morning. We left a message in the morning.
I didn't ask you that question.
Then that's no to the answer.
Okay, because she spoke to her grandmother in the afternoon.
Well, I didn't.
It's clear to me that...
And I called the police station. I asked him, what do I do?
Miss Burgess,
kids,
stop interrupting me. Only one person can talk at one time. That's me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a child abuser.
Get
Something
you
needs
some
to be done
menopause
with you.
pills and
Shut
get
up.
you some psych meds and you're
You
gonna
better.
be fine.
You better learn how to be a mother instead of screwing around.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Burgess wants to be paid for babysitting Rana Rojas's children. Rana says she won't pay the bill because Kathy dropped her kids off at a police station when she was late getting home.
If the child was able to speak to her grandmother in the late afternoon, and her grandmother said to her, I can't come and get you because I'm cooking, or whatever.
What a reason.
It's clear to me that you could have spoken to her too in the afternoon because at that point she was in fact home.
She never called the grandmother in the afternoon. I left a message.
I believe that you
Whatever.
did.
I
I believe that you spoke to her grandmother in the afternoon because it...
Anyway.
I believe that she did because this child would not tell me something that would be hurtful to her.
What
It
about
was
my
clearly-
children?
It
You
was
don't care
cl-
about talking to them?
I'm not interested in talking to your children. For what reason?
Because he has an injury on his back.
Listen to
and
me.
things like that. She did.
Listen to me.
Why
Miss
didn't you-
Burgess, Miss Burgess,
know.
that's not what this case is about.
I'll tell you what this case is about, Judge Judy. This case is about she left her mother she left her kids for 2 days. I agreed for 1 day. Her child was out of control because she was hurt that her mother didn't keep a promise. I had no alternative. I didn't know if she was going to come back and get her kids. Maybe she
You
would have
know
been a
what?
week.
That's bull.
Listen to me.
So I mean,
Listen
I
to
had
me.
no
It's all
alternative.
bull.
I felt
No, I
bad
think
about
it's
doing
all
it.
bull.
I don't
was
think-
crying at the police station.
I just
I
really
don't-
wish you would start
Hey.
telling the truth.
I wish you
Hey,
would.
let me
Come
tell
get
you-
your kids and keep your promise. You're hurting
Miss
your kids
Burgess!
also.
Don't talk to her. I've already thrown her out once because she doesn't know where she is. What I'm
Sorry, I
telling
can't
you
hear.
is, you agreed to take care of the children. I believe that Ms. Rojas was totally and completely irresponsible, took off with her boyfriend, and didn't give two hoots about disappointing her children and not coming back for an additional, not hour,
Or mine.
not 2, I'm speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
Not 1 hour, not 2 hours, not 3 hours, but another 24 hours before she showed up for her kids. That's irresponsible.
That's right.
No question about that. What I'm suggesting to you is the children are always the innocents.
That's right, they are.
And they should not have been taken to a police station until every other possibility was exhausted. And that meant, Miss Burgess, whether you like to acknowledge it or not, spending the entire afternoon on Sunday trying to reach their grandmother and saying to their grandmother, I can't control all these 4 kids together. They're not getting along. I have no alternative at this point, but if you don't come to get them, I'm going to have to take them to the police station. I believe that you had a responsibility to do that. And, Miss Burgess, you can dance around from today till tomorrow. You did not do that.
I left a message to the mother. I
That's
did it.
not
That's what
good.
the police told
That
me
is
to do.
not good enough before you
Whatever.
take children to the police station. As for you, Miss Rojas,
She abandoned
it's
me.
everything is called a mother these days. You clearly have a boyfriend that interests you more than the welfare of your children. Let us assume I believe what you said, which I don't. Let us assume I believe what you said, that you didn't want to drive late at night with your boyfriend on Saturday night because you didn't feel safe. And it was already late at night. So you check into a motel with your boyfriend and you sleep from 9 o'clock p.m. until 2 o'clock in the morning from wherever you are. That gives you 5 hours sleep, more than enough time to be fresh, so that when your children get up first thing Sunday morning, you're home, 7 o'clock in the morning, with your apologies to Miss Burgess for not being home at 8 o'clock when you said you were going to be home.
Right.
You didn't show up at the police station till 6 o'clock Sunday night.
No,
Where were you
no,
on
I got there before 6.
Where were you all day Sunday?
All day Sunday we were driving. It took us 8 hours to drive.
Well, let me ask you this question.
It took
If
8 hours to drive from San Diego. We ended up going, after Fontana, we went to San Diego.
Why did you go to San Diego?
because we wanted to. She was aware. She was
I
aware.
want to tell you something.
I have phone records where I stayed on the phone with Kathy Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and 11 for 6 minutes
I
and
feel
4
sorry
minutes.
for your children.
6 minutes and
you
4
are
minutes. When I
clearly an unfit custodian for your children. It's just too bad that they don't have alternatives.
I don't believe so.
Well, I'm telling you, I believe so, and I've been around probably longer than you've been alive. So you are unfit to take care of your children because what you did was place your pleasure time over the welfare of your children.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
What you did, Miss Burgess, was not the right thing either. However, you are entitled to babysitting money for these children because you did, in fact, babysit for them. Now, you're asking for $650 when your original agreement with her, according to you, was... When your original agreement, according to you, was $125, according to her, $100. So even if I give you the benefit of the doubt and you kept the children an additional 24 hours, that would be an extra $125 or $250, not $650.
That's not exactly. Please let me explain my case, okay?
I'm giving you $250, madam. You are lucky you're getting it because you are lucky that you're getting it. $250 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Whatever.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Hell, look at this.
Okay. Kathy, please.
Look what your daughter did to my son. You don't care. You're out screwing around with your boyfriend.
You're a liar.
You shut the...
Judge Judy episode 9983 is available in our YouTube channel. Please subscribe my channel for more episode showcases some of the most compelling cases presided over by Judge Judy Sheindlin. Judge Judy, Judge Judy episode 9983 is available in our YouTube channel. Please subscribe my channel for more episodes. Showcases some of the most compelling cases presided over by Judge Judy Sheindlin. Renowned for her no-nonsense approach and sharp-wit, Judge Judy addresses a variety of disputes, offering views, bar entertainment, and insight in the legal process. Characteristic counter dynamic that have made of show a staple in reality count television.